Welcome to the underground train survival game. Please select a station within 10 minutes. Those who linger will be executed. Lennon opened his eyes and found himself sitting inside a train. He had grown up in an orphanage. He thought his life would get better after he worked his way through college. But it seemed that hope had now vanished. There were no platforms in sight. Outside the windows lay nothing but darkness and countless railway tracks. They branched and crossed in the distance, vanishing into churning gray mist. The cold female voice continued. Rule 1. The train will recharge upon arriving at a station. If the next station is not selected for departure within 8 hours of a full energy charge, executioners will arrive to carry out executions. Rule 2. Station tiers correspond to rewards and dangers. Each player receives 4 random station entries, with 1 refresh opportunity per day. Nearby stations unlock once you leave the starting station. Doors will remain forcibly locked while the train is in motion unless special circumstances arise. Rule 3. All train conductors will awaken abilities. Life and death are your own responsibility. Once the 3 rules finished playing, the blue core at the front of the locomotive blazed to life. Initial train energy, 100%. Please select a station within 10 minutes. Do not linger. A red countdown popped up, 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Lennon stared at the final warning for 2 seconds. What could anyone accomplish in 10 minutes? You could easily lose your life before you even figure out what is happening. Instead of rushing to make a choice, he quickly scanned his surroundings. The train consisted of only 1 locomotive car and 1 empty passenger car. On the left side of the locomotive stood a half-tall furnace, displaying 3 options: craft, repair, recharge. To its right sat a silver, white chest. Trade chest. Place items inside the chest during a trade. The exchange completes automatically once both sides confirm. Straight ahead was the train core. Beneath the countdown were 4 random station entries. A chat interface appeared in his mind with 4 channels: World Channel, Regional Channel, Shallow Zone, Private Channel, Guild Channel. None. The regional channel was already in chaos. Player number 666 Old Servant. Is this some prank? I have a company meeting. What am I supposed to do if I get fired? Player number 11 Old Deng. Where are my wife and kid? I'm losing my mind. Player number 78 Next Door Wong. What does execution mean? Are we actually going to die for not picking a station? I don't believe they would really hurt us. Player number 35 Old Bird. Don't pick blindly. Share station information and band together. Numbers are our best shot at survival. Messages scrolled rapidly. Every player started with a numeric ID and a random nickname, and each person had 1 free chance to rename themselves. Soon, a newly renamed user called Black Tower sent a message. Black Tower, everyone quiet down. I awakened AC, tier ability, tempered skin. I worked as a security captain for 8 years in real life. I know how to organize people. Right after that, a shared notification popped up. Black Tower shared, Station 128, F, tier. Info, abandoned supply depot, low danger level. Black Tower, anyone willing to group up, come converge at Station 128. Black Tower, once we arrive, follow my orders. We will only collect 30% of all supplies for communal stockpiles and daily necessities. This message drew dozens of replies right away. Player number 84 Dude Bro. C tier ability? I only got D tier. Please take me along, boss. Cabbage and potato. Isn't 30% too high? Everyone risks their lives to gather supplies. Black Tower, don't come if you think it's unfair. Going solo means you will get wiped out the moment you run into monsters. We need to gather living people first before talking about fairness. Black Tower, those with strong abilities join combat teams. The weaker ones handle logistics. I am taking on the biggest risks, so I should be in charge. His argument sounded somewhat reasonable. Whether this would become a genuine mutual aid group or Black Tower's personal dictatorship remained to be seen. Maybe he really could build a cooperative community. While Lennon read the chat, blue light descended inside the locomotive. Ability awakening complete. Name, Lin and awakened ability, S, tier full, map station navigation. Ability type, information-based. Current effect, read most details from random stations, nearby stations, and stations shared across chat channels via the train core. Upon arriving at a station, access a real-time navigational map. No combat power, no physical enhancements, no flashy supernatural attacks. On the surface, it was nothing more than a mapping tool. Yet Lennon sat up straight. In this world where picking the wrong station could get you killed instantly, what ability held the greatest value? The answer seemed obvious. Either overwhelming power capable of destroying every monster, or an ability that foresaw dangers ahead of time. For random station, entries were displayed on the train core. Station 128, F tier. Info: abandoned supply depot, low danger level. Station 307, D tier. Info: underground fungus cavern, toxic spores present. Station 818, A tier. Info: none. Station 1406, B tier. Info: heavy signs of biological activity. Daily refresh count, 1/1. That was all ordinary conductors could see. But for Lennon, blue supplementary notes appeared underneath each entry. Navigation info: Station 128, empty depot. No hostile creatures. Remaining supplies: black bread times 6, drinking water times 2 liters. Projected arriving players: 2864. Players already present: 0. 6 loaves of bread for over 2,000 people. This was not group survival. This was showing up to a mass casualty scene, and there was no telling whether you would live or die. The other stations were hardly ideal either. Station 307 was infested with D tier rot fungi whose spores infected human bodies through inhalation. The life signs at Station 1406 belonged to packs of B tier cave wolves. Lennon opened the entry for Station 818. Navigation info: A tier plains station. Aggressive creatures: none. Resources: high grade supply crate times 1, rare grade supply crate times 1, black horned sheep times 5, small freshwater lake times 1. Projected arriving players: 0. Players already present: 0. Lennon fell silent for a few seconds. For everyone else, picking a station was Russian roulette. For him, he held the answer key. That felt wildly unfair. Back in the regional channel, Black Tower kept recruiting followers. Projected arrivals for Station 128 kept climbing and soon surpassed 3,000. Lennon typed out a message. Player number 114514. A reminder: an F tier station being safe does not mean it has abundant supplies. Player number 114514. When thousands of people crowd into one station, monsters won't go hungry, but the people definitely will. The channel went quiet for a moment. Black Tower: how much supply do you know Station 128 has? Player number 114514. I don't know, just guessing. Black Tower: stop spreading fear with no evidence. If we stick together, we can at least resist threats. Black Tower: if you convince people not to come, who takes responsibility when something bad happens? Black Tower was not entirely foolish. Assembling a large crowd gave him power. Lynn's words threatened to undermine his plan. Cabbage and potato: what he said makes sense. How are thousands of people supposed to divide scarce supplies? Wrench: I'm not going. I'll pick my own station. Black Tower: resources can be further explored at the station. If you run off alone, you will have nobody to help you when danger strikes. Black Tower: player number 114514. State your ability and station information. Black Tower: I can offer you an administrative position if you stop disrupting our plans. When persuasion failed, he resorted to intimidation. The wasteland survival had barely begun, yet he was already acting like a leader. Lennon typed a reply. Player number 114514. I'll pass on the administrative spot. Hope you have more than 10 loaves of bread for 2,000 people. Black Tower: you are sowing division. Are you looking for trouble? Player number 114514. Relax. I'm not heading to 128. Carry on organizing. Wish you all the best. He closed the chat channel after sending the message. 57 seconds remained on the countdown. Projected arrivals for Station 818 stayed at 0. 30 seconds left. Still 0. Black Tower continued rallying players in the background. Black Tower: final warning. Confirm Station 128 immediately if you wish to join the group. Anyone who disobeys orders upon arrival will face consequences. Player number 78 Didi: boss, I'm with you. Projected arrivals for Station 128 shifted. 2,864, 2731. 20 seconds. Lennon reached out and selected Station 818. Destination confirmed: Station 818. Energy consumed for departure: 100%. Train preparing for departure. Doors locked instantly. Steel wheels screeched against rails as the train surged forward into endless darkness. 10 seconds later, the first system announcement appeared on the World Channel. Player number 29 Dude Bro has died. Then a second, a third. Player number 78 Next Door Wong has died. Player number 22 Potato Kid has died. Player number 86 Potato Kid has died. Player Good Luck has died. Death notices poured in without stating causes. No one knew which stations these players had chosen. In barely 3 minutes, over 190 death notifications scrolled past. Even a player who had been bragging about their B-tier ability moments earlier showed up on the death list. The train began to decelerate. Darkness parted, and stretches of green came into view outside the windows. Train has arrived at Station 818. Station name, Plain Station. Remaining train energy, 0%. Estimated recharging duration, 72 hours. The doors unlocked. Lennon pushed them open. Wind carrying moisture and grass fragrance swept into the carriage. Vast grassland stretched toward the distance. 5 black, horned sheep stood beside the lake. Further away, silver and blue crates rested beside boulders. All 5 sheep turned their gazes toward Lynn and stepped down off the train. All right, who wants to be our main meal for today? At those words, the largest ram lowered its head. It scraped at the ground, then charged. Its curved horns aimed straight for Lynn's abdomen. Clearly, it disagreed with the menu. Lynn dodged sideways. The horns brushed past his clothes. He slapped the ram's hindquarters and sprinted away. Without weapons, picking a fight with a 100-plus-pound ram was just asking for injury. A small blue mini-map floated in the upper left corner of his vision, marking the 2 supply crates less than 200 meters away. Dodging around lakeside boulders, Lynn headed straight for the crates. After chasing for dozens of meters, the sheep gave up and trotted back to its herd. Quite the temper. Once I get a proper weapon, we can revisit this conversation. He opened the blue crate first. Opening high-grade supply crate. Obtained, high-grade hunting dagger ×1. Obtained, iron ingot ×8. Obtained, lumber ×12. Obtained, empty water bottle ×8. Obtained, hardtack biscuits ×4. The dagger was roughly 30 centimeters long with a single sharpened edge and black, wrapped grip. High-grade hunting dagger. Sharpness, high. Durability, 100%. Lennon swung the blade a couple times. Survival felt completely different with a weapon in hand. Next, he opened the purple crate. Opening rare, grade supply crate. Obtained, rare, grade black, Fong dagger blueprint ×1. Obtained, ordinary, grade train carriage blueprint ×1. Obtained, water purification tablet ×20. Obtained, ordinary, grade hemostatic bandage ×2. Obtained, mechanical component ×1. Lennon picked up the train carriage blueprint. Ordinary, grade train carriage blueprint. After learning, allows crafting 1 train carriage inside the train furnace. Required materials, lumber ×200, iron ingot ×120, copper ingot ×40, mechanical component ×10. Reading the material list, Lennon rolled the blueprint back up. Not happening. The materials he currently possessed would not even be enough for a section of floor, let alone an entire carriage. The black, Fong dagger blueprint was far more practical. Rare, grade black, Fong dagger blueprint. Required materials, iron ingot ×20, intact black horn ×2, animal sinew ×1. In the bottom corner of both blueprints was the same symbol, for railway tracks connected end to form an eye. No title, no description. Lennon memorized the symbol, stowed the carriage blueprint back inside the blue crate, and took his 8 empty bottles toward the lake. He needed water before hunting sheep, otherwise animal blood might contaminate the water source. It would be unpleasant drinking lake water, tainted with blood. The lake water was crystal clear, pebbles visible on the lake bed. Without fire for boiling, he could not rule out hidden bacteria and pathogens. Lennon filled every glass bottle and dropped 1 purification tablet into each. Purification in progress. Estimated completion, 10 minutes. Once finished, he gripped his dagger and walked toward the herd. Which one of you rammed me earlier? The big ram lifted its head. Perfect, it owned up. When Lennon drew within 10 meters, the ram lowered its head and charged again. This time Lennon did not run. 5 meters. 3 meters. Right before the horns struck his torso, Lennon sidestepped left, gripped the curved horn, and twisted his body using the ram's momentum. The dagger sliced sideways into its neck. Squelch. The blade severed blood vessels. The ram stumbled forward several more paces before collapsing onto the grass. The remaining 4 sheep scattered in fright. The actual killing strike took mere minutes. Chasing the sheep took more than an hour. They were not fast, but they twisted and circled endlessly. Lennon circled back and forth between the lake and train, finally cornering the remaining 4 sheep against rocks and taking them down one by one. When the last sheep fell, he sank onto the grass, gasping for breath. Skilled protagonists take down foes with effortless strikes. I chase sheep until my step counter maxes out. After resting 10 minutes, Lennon began field dressing the carcasses. The hunting dagger cut hide and meat efficiently. Obtained, raw mutton ×30. Obtained, intact black horn ×10. Obtained, intact will hide ×3. Obtained, damaged will hide ×2. Obtained, animal sinew ×5. Lennon wrapped portions of meat in hides and hauled them back in trips. Black horns, sinew, and tradable goods went into the trade chest. By the time he finished, his clothes were stained with sheep blood. According to the navigation map, 0 additional players were projected to arrive at the A-tier plane station, and no other hazards existed. Lennon stripped off his blood-soaked clothes and waded into the lake. Cold lake water rose up to his shoulders. Nearly 3 hours had passed since docking. The train core had only recharged to 4%. It would take close to 3 full days to reach full power. Floating in the shallows, he opened the world channel. Death announcements filled the screen. Player hashtag tomato fried tomato has died. Player next door Wong has died. Player number 6 watermelon has died. Player Black Tower has died. Lin N's gaze lingered on that final entry. Station 128 held no monsters, only 6 loaves of black bread and 2 liters of water. Black Tower was a C-tier tempered skin ability user. Under normal circumstances, he should never have died at a monster-free F-tier station. Only one explanation remained. The threat came not from creatures, but from other people. Wrench, do not come to Station 128. Hardly any supplies here. Looting has already broken out. Iron Pots do self. Black Tower is dead. His followers split into 3 factions. Nobody dares open the train doors. Cabbage and potato. Thank goodness I didn't go there. Lennon closed those messages. It was less a betrayal and more a newly formed group eliminating its founder within 3 hours. Many players had successfully reached their stations. Some arrived after 3 minutes, some after 7. The slowest arrivals took less than 10 minutes. Trains traveled very quickly along the rails. True life, or death risks did not come from the journey itself, but from whatever waited when you stepped off the train. Many players had chosen high-tier stations. Some opened treasure crates. Others appeared on death notifications within 1 minute of disembarking. Rewards and dangers were laid bare. There were no restarts in this game, only death. Lennon washed blood from his skin, changed into clean clothes, and returned to the train. He pressed the Blackfang Dagger blueprint against the train core. Learned Blackfang Dagger blueprint. Yes. The blueprint dissolved into light and uploaded to the train core. Crafting required 20 iron ingots. He still needed 12 more. Lennon opened the regional channel and posted a trade offer. Player number 114514, selling purified water and fresh mutton. Accepting iron ingots, lumber, copper ingots, mechanical components only. Limited stock. Barely 10 seconds passed before trade offers popped up. Screwdriver mutton? Did you find a livestock pen? 2 iron ingots for 1 piece of meat. Deal? Tonight we eat chicken. 2 lumber for 1 bottle of water. It's over 40 degrees where I am. I'm about to collapse. Riding pig on highway. I've got 5 iron ingots for 2 portions of meat plus 1 bottle of water. Lennon offered no explanations. The trade chest lit up repeatedly as iron, lumber, and copper flowed in. In less than 20 minutes, trading small portions of mutton and 2 bottles of water earned him 12 iron ingots, 23 lumber, and 4 copper ingots. He now had exactly enough iron. 20 iron ingots, 2 black horns, and 1 strip of animal sinew went into the furnace. Blue flames ignited. Estimated crafting time, 30 minutes. Half an hour later, the furnace opened. A pitch-black short blade dropped into Lin An's hands. Rare-grade Blackfang Dagger. Sharpness, extremely high. Trait, Lacerate. Wounds inflicted by this weapon heal at a reduced rate. Items from the furnace carried no burn heat. Before he could examine it further, the blue mini-map in the upper left expanded. A brand new railway track emerged from the gray mist on the outskirts of the plane station, heading straight towards Station 818. The train core glowed blue. There were no alarms, no system warnings of any kind. Only on the navigation map, several lines of information popped up one after another. Navigation info, Station 818 Planeland. External rail connection detected. Danger type, opponent has used a rare-grade item on you. Forced rail linker. Map route, unknown station Station 818 Planeland. Estimated arrival time, 9 minutes and 59 seconds. Expected passengers arriving, 1. Passengers already arrived, 1. Lennon glanced out the window. A dozen seconds later, the gray fog at the edge of the grassland began to churn. A stretch of railway track jutted out from the black mist, snaking across the ground and extending steadily toward Planeland Station. Farther away, a swaying train headlight came into view. Only when the track actually materialized would an ordinary conductor realize someone was coming. Whether the opponent had selected Station 818 at random, entered the station number manually, or deployed a special item, the train core offered 0 explanations. But Lennon knew. His foe had used the forced rail linker. And less than an hour after their trade concluded, this track had come straight for him. Calling it a coincidence would be an insult to his intelligence. Lennon glanced at the leftover mutton inside the trade crate, then looked toward the train core. Energy sat just above 5%. If he tried to flee right now, the wheels would barely turn. The countdown kept ticking, 9 minutes and 47 seconds. 10 minutes? Plenty of time to prepare a welcome gift for this uninvited guest. Lennon tucked his black-toothed dagger behind his waist, his gaze sweeping over the train, the lake, and the waist-high boulders. We've got a visitor. One who brought their own railway. He shut down the trade channel and lifted an empty supply crate off the ground. They've laid tracks right up to my doorstep. It'd be rude not to send a gift back. 10 minutes was short, yet more than enough time to set up an ambush. Lennon dragged 2 empty supply crates beside the train onto the newly formed track, positioning them sideways to block the path. Next, he hauled several heavy boulders and stuffed them inside both crates. The crates might not stop a train, but they would definitely give its front end a brutal beating. Once the roadblocks were set, Lennon hauled lumber, mutton, copper ingots, mechanical components, and his remaining provisions into the carriage. Even the standard carriage blueprint, which he lacked the resources to build, was tossed onto the floor. Supplies lay scattered everywhere. It looked exactly as though the owner had fled in a panic upon sensing danger, abandoning all their belongings. Still not enough. Lennon walked over to the lake, scooped up wet mud, and smeared it across the soles of his shoes. He then stamped footprints leading from inside the carriage out the door, trailing deep into the grassland. Once finished, he circled back to his train, slammed the carriage door shut and locked it, kicked off his shoes, and squeezed himself inside the silvery white trade crate on the right side of the locomotive. The crate was not spacious. He could barely fit with his legs curled tight. Rather than a hiding spot, it was more like cramming himself inside a large cargo container. Lennon had trained in hand-to-hand combat and could handle ordinary foes. But anyone bold enough to activate a forced rail linker to storm a station almost certainly possessed combat-focused awakened abilities. Charging out for a heat-and fight against an enhanced opponent was not confidence. It was simply rushing straight toward death. The countdown hit 0. The gray mist tore open. An aging train, slowing down, charged along the new track into Plainland Station. Its locomotive slammed directly into the 2 supply crates. Boom. The 2 steel crates went flying. Boulders spilled across the rails. The front of the enemy train caved in deeply. Steel scraped against the tracks, spraying sparks. It finally ground to a halt 20-odd meters away from Lennon's train. A door was wrenched open. A crew-cut man in a black tank top jumped down. A fire snake tattoo coiled around his right arm, and his neck was nearly as thick as his head. Seeing the dented front of his locomotive, the crew-cut man shook his head, his jaw muscles twitching. Damn it! Which bastard dumped crates on the tracks? He stepped closer, his expression darkening further. Stones stuffed inside them too. Kicking aside the mangled sheet metal, he strode toward Lin An's train. You from station 818. Get out here. I know you're in there. Silence came from within the carriage. The crew-cut man tugged at the side door. It was locked tight. Pretty cautious. He twisted his neck. In the next instant, the muscles in his right arm bulged violently. Beneath his skin, veins swelled like earthworms. The blue navigation map materialized. Danger type, C-grade physical augmentation. Danger threat, strength, speed, and damage resistance increased 8-fold. Duration remaining, 3 minutes. Reactivation, 60 seconds after augmentation expires. Lennon tightened his grip on the black-toothed dagger. Just as he expected, this unwanted guest came fully equipped for destruction. Bang! The crew-cut man punched the carriage door. The steel panel caved inward. A second punch warped the door frame completely. The third blow landed. Boom! The entire door tore free from its frame, flying into the carriage and knocking over stacks of lumber. The crew-cut man ducked and stepped inside. First, he scanned the supplies strewn all over the floor, then spotted the muddy shoe prints leading toward the grassland. He grinned. You made good money selling mutton, huh? Do you really think you could post goods on the channel, stay at the same station, and expect no one to track you down? Hidden inside the trade crate, Lennon held perfectly still. Glancing around the carriage, the crew-cut man kept talking to himself. That rare-grade forced rail linker. Input your current channel alias, and it lays a rail straight to your station. You were putting mutton and water up for trade, looking nice and rich. Come out and share some, buddy. He slapped the dented wall of the carriage, producing a dull thud. I only have one of these, 5 total uses. You'd better be worth it. Inside the crate, Lennon narrowed his eyes slightly. So that was how it worked. No tampering with traded goods required. No need for the target's real name. 1 public trade listing. 1 noted channel nickname. One forced rail linker. A seller instantly became a robbery target. This world's trading channel never revealed real names. But it also never said usernames could not be used as location markers. The crew-cut man rummaged through the scattered supplies and found no sign of anyone. He looked up at the partition leading to the locomotive. Hidden in the engine room? He stormed forward and threw a punch. Bang! The dividing door between carriage and locomotive ripped off its frame and crashed into the engine compartment, landing less than half a meter from the trade crate. The crew-cut man stepped over the broken door. Furnace. Train core. Trade crate. He possessed this exact same setup on his own train. The silvery crate sat flush against the wall, indistinguishable from fixed equipment like the furnace and train core. His gaze swept across the crate lid without pausing. He bent down to check underneath the operator's seat. Familiar objects were the easiest to overlook. No one would guess the conductor himself was curled up inside the trade crate. Lennon gripped his dagger backward. If the lid opened, he would strike for the eyes first, then slash at the throat. Strike repeatedly if needed. He would never give his opponent a chance to activate their augmentation a second time. Luckily, the crew-cut man searched thoroughly, yet never touched the crate lid. Did he really run outside? He walked back to the carriage, glanced at the muddy footprints stretching toward the grassland, then turned toward the mangled crates beside the track. His brows drew together. The forced rail linker sends no warning to its target. Most fools would assume an incoming rail is just another random player arriving. He kicked aside a pile of lumber. This guy set roadblocks ahead of time, scattered all his stuff before fleeing. Could I really have run into another experienced conductor? On the blue map, the red dot marking the crew-cut man moved back and forth. Time left on his augmentation kept shrinking, 1 minute and 46 seconds. The crew-cut man stood in the shattered doorway, staring out across the grassland. The plane stretched endlessly. Chasing after a fugitive out there would eat up the rest of his augmented time before he could return. He spat onto the ground. Forget it. I'll grab whatever I can and wreck the train. When he comes back, he'll still have to beg for mercy. The crew-cut man began looting the carriage. Copper ingots and mechanical components went into his backpack. Several packs of compressed rations disappeared into his jacket pockets. When he found the standard carriage blueprint, he paused. In its bottom right corner, foreclosed rails formed the outline of an eye. He stared at the symbol for several seconds and chuckled. Nice piece of loot. He flipped the blueprint over, double-checking something on its reverse side. A moment later, he folded it and tucked it inside his black tank top. I'll hold on to this. When he gets back, this whole train will count as compensation for my damaged locomotive. Augmentation remaining, 1 minute. Knowing searching was futile for now, the crew-cut man grabbed a pack of compressed rations and sat down in the broken doorway. He tore open the wrapper and started eating. Bite of ration. Sip of purified water. Everything he consumed had come fresh from Lin and's loot crates. Can't cook his mutton with my fire ability right now. No sense wasting all this meat. I'll deal with him, then take it away. He stacked chunks of mutton beside himself and kept eating. Inside the trade crate, Lennon stayed locked in position. One of his legs had gone completely numb, but he refused to rush. An augmented fighter, even with 10 seconds left on their boost, could still take someone down with them. Strike only once. And when you strike, leave 0 openings for a second chance. Numbers on the navigation continued counting down, 30 seconds. The crew-cut man sat with his back toward the locomotive, sipping water slowly. When finished, he tossed the empty bottle out of the train. 10 seconds. The bulging muscles on his right arm softened. Swollen veins sank back beneath his skin. The silver crate lid lifted silently by a narrow gap. Lennon held it steady to keep the metal hinges from creaking. Barefooted, he landed on the floor. The black-toothed dagger settled firmly in his grasp. Lennon stepped over the wrecked partition door. On the blue navigation map, only 3 meters separated him from the red dot. The crew-cut man bit off another mouthful of rations and mumbled, "Where the hell has that guy gotten to?" Lennon came to a halt directly behind him, gazing down coldly at his back. He licked crumbs off his lips. "Once my 60-second cooldown finishes, when he comes back, I'll beat him half to death." Lennon crouched slowly right behind him. Food isn't free. The crew-cut man froze. Physical augmentation expired. Midnight. The black-toothed dagger sliced swiftly across his neck. Squelch. Blood splattered across the broken carriage door. Dropping his rations, the crew-cut man clamped both hands over his throat and spun, lashing out with a kick. Lennon stepped backward. The boot narrowly sailed past his chest. Off balance, the crew-cut man crashed into the doorframe, blood gushing through his fingers. Rare-grade black-toothed dagger trait. Lacerate. Once cut open, wounds would not stop bleeding easily. His augmentation was gone. His body was vulnerable once more, no tougher than ordinary flesh. Gurgling sounds bubbled in his throat as he tried to charge Lin and sidestepped and kicked hard behind his knee. Thud! The crew-cut man crashed to his knees. His body swayed, then toppled sideways inside the carriage. He was still alive, but his ability cooldown had only just begun. Lin walked over and knelt beside him. Staring at the pitch-black dagger, the crew-cut man finally understood why his foe had never shown himself. He had not run away. He had been waiting from the very moment augmentation activated, all the way until it ran out. Timed perfectly down to the second. But how had he known about the ability? What power did he possess? Lin looked down at him, speaking in a calm tone with a faint smile. For your meal, you can pay with your life. Lin stood up after speaking. The crew-cut man tried grabbing at his ankle. Bang! Lin kicked him hard in the chest. He tumbled out of the carriage, rolled across the grass, and lay motionless beside the railway tracks. Eating without paying. Trashing someone else's home. In the old world, this would only land you on a credit blacklist. In this world, it landed you on the death list. Lin kept his distance and opened the global player channel. Page after page of death announcements scrolled upward. Seconds later, a brand new entry popped into view. Player, Black Snake, Guild Fire Serpent has died. Lin glanced at the fire snake tattoo on the corpse's right arm. The name matched, yet his attention locked onto the first 4 characters. Black Snake Guild? Barely 1 day into this game, and guild prefixes already existed? Inside the regional channel, other players noticed the anomaly too. Player number 774 Soymilk. Guild? Can you create guilds in this game? Player number 291 Steel Bar. Wait, which guild is Fire Serpent part of? Braze Slipper. Does anyone know how to join one? The channel shows 0 instructions. Shortly afterward, a username clearly belonging to an experienced player appeared. Gun Guild Glock. Oh wow, Fire Serpent bit the dust. That guy preyed on new players in the shallow zone. Which rookie managed to take him out? Player number 443 Rice Cooker. What do you mean by shallow zone? Did you get here earlier than us? Player number 27 Sleep Deprived Champ. Didn't this game just launch today? Cabbage and Potato. Sir, could you tell us more about the shallow zone? Glock sent no further replies. No other players with guild tags spoke up. Clearly Black Snake was not the only guild in this realm. The global channel flooded again with death notifications, cries for help, and panicked messages. Lin closed it. The welcome message only said, "Welcome to the game." It never stated every player arrived on the exact same day. His group were not the first arrivals. Merely fresh stock just brought in. No wonder he was so experienced at robbing others. Veteran player. Lin walked toward Fire Serpent's train. Its door hung open. The locomotive's dented core glowed bright red. Conductor deceased. This train entering destruction countdown. Time remaining, 51 minutes and 50 seconds. More than 50 minutes. Plenty of time to loot. Stealing and operating the train itself was impossible. The core bonded to its conductor. It was no shared bicycle. Lin opened the storage compartment under the operator's seat and pulled out a palm-sized black box. Rare grade, forced rail linker. Remaining uses, January 5th. Effect. Input a target's active channel alias to spawn a temporary rail directly leading to their station. Cannot activate while the target's train is in motion. 5 total uses. Fire Serpent had robbed for victims. 3 robberies must have succeeded. The 4th had delivered him straight to Lin. A doorstep delivery free of charge. Lin stowed the rail linker. He spotted a familiar marking carved into its base, for closed rails and circling an eye, identical to the symbol on both blueprints. Fire Serpent had clearly recognized it back inside the carriage. Unfortunately, he was in no condition to answer questions now. Lin kept searching. A dark red scroll slipped out from between the seat cushions. Rare grade, a ability seizure scroll. Remaining uses, 1/1. Effect. Use on a player corpse no older than 30 minutes to steal one of their awakened abilities. Lin studied it for a moment, then returned to the corpse beside the tracks. He lacked any offensive abilities. A corpse lay right there. No reason to hesitate. The crimson scroll landed on Fire Serpent's chest, dissolving into red light that seeped into the body. A beam of light burst outward and merged into Lin. Seizure successful. Acquired ability, C-grade physical augmentation. Effect. All physical capabilities increase 8-fold. Duration, 3 minutes. Cooldown, 60 seconds once augmentation ends. Lin rolled his shoulders. He activated the ability with a thought. Power flooded every limb. Grabbing Fire Serpent by one leg, he lifted the 200-plus-pound corpse with a single hand. It felt surprisingly light, like dragging an empty cardboard crate. He gained none of the man's bulky muscles, yet retained all his raw strength. Lin tossed the corpse back onto Fire Serpent's train. I kill, I dispose of the body. Your train will burn soon. Complete service package. While his augmentation still lasted, he began hauling loot. 31 iron ingots, 26 lumber planks, 9 copper ingots, 1 large gray-black expandable backpack, some of Fire Serpent's clothing, 3 mechanical components, 78 low-grade fuel blocks. For canned meats, 6 bottles of water, 1 box of ordinary-grade painkillers. He recovered everything Fire Serpent had stolen from his train: copper ingots, compressed rations, mechanical parts, plus the standard carriage blueprint. Once the 3-minute augmentation expired, he had moved everything salvageable. Lennon activated his furnace to repair his damaged train. Repair target: carriage side door, locomotive partition wall, structural panel damage. Consumes: iron ingot times 30, lumber times 22, copper ingot times 6, mechanical component times 2. Estimated repair time, 20 minutes. Blue fire spread along the train's metal surfaces. Warped frames reshaped, and the 2 torn doors reformed within the flames. After repairs finished, most of his newly gained resources had been spent. At first glance, this fight looked wildly profitable. After deducting repair costs, his net gain was barely more than hard manual labor. Lin and reopened the global channel. 2 minutes earlier, a message had pushed past all the new player chatter. Blacksnake Guild leader Blacksnake. Which rookie in the shallow zone killed Fire Serpent? Foolish as he was, only I get to deal with him. Blacksnake Guild leader Blacksnake. Reveal your location voluntarily, and I might grant you a clean death. 1 minute later, another message followed. Lizard. Boss, please let me join the guild. I knew Fire Serpent. I might know who it was. Blacksnake Guild Lizard. Thank you, boss. Lennon stared at the poster. One message begged for entry. The next bore the brand new guild prefix. Within 60 seconds, the man had joined and edited his display name. They would most likely move their conversation to private or guild-only channels. Another detail: edited usernames would not retroactively change old chat messages. Name modification offered clear tactical advantages. If Blacksnake learned Lin and's new alias, he could strike instantly with another forced rail linker. Before coming here, Fire Serpent must have told Lizard about targeting potential robbery victims. Staying put at Station 818 was equivalent to sitting at home waiting for hostile visitors. Except instead of food delivery, what arrived would be death. Lin closed the channel. He tossed torn sheepskins, scrap steel, and Fire Serpent's low-grade fuel blocks into the furnace. Current energy, 6%. Input low-grade fuel block times 78. Input torn sheepskin times 2. Input scrap steel plate times 12. Blue flames blazed. The train energy reading climbed rapidly. 31%. 57%. 84%. Fire Serpent's train had a little over 20 minutes left before self-destruction. Right at that moment, the navigation map unfolded in the corner of his vision. Out past the plane station, a second pitch-black rail tore through the gray mist. Navigation info: Station 818 Planeland. Abnormal external rail connection detected. Danger type: S-tier combatant has activated forced rail linker against you. Estimated arrival time: 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Expected passengers arriving: 1. Passengers already arrived: 1. Estimated arrival time: 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Danger type: an S-rank powerhouse has used a rare grade item on you. Forced track merger device. Lennon stared at the navigation prompt for 2 seconds. He lifted his head and looked toward the train core. Lennon's train core finally filled to full capacity. Current energy, 100%. S-rank. Aren't I also S-rank? He was talking about his ability. As for combat power, even if he activated C-rank physical body enhancement right now and charged out to fight the opponent head-on, he would most likely end up getting himself and his entire train captured. Lennon hated gambling, especially gambling with his own life on whether an S-rank powerhouse happened to be in a good mood today. On the navigation map, the black track kept extending toward the plane station. For minutes, that was enough time for the enemy's train to pull in. It was also enough time for him to find a new home. Lennon strode over to the train core. On the core, the 4 original station options remained. Station 128, Grade F, Info, Abandoned Supply Depot, Low Hazard Level. Station 307, Grade D, Info, Underground Fungus Cavern, Toxic Spores Present. Station 818, Grade A, Info, None. Station 1406, Grade B, Info, Heavy Signs of Biological Activity Detected. A line lay below them. Daily Refresh Count, 1/1. Beside it was a new option. Nearby stations. View tracks directly connected to the current station. Reduced energy consumption for departure. Lennon did not check the nearby tracks right away. A refresh chance would not carry over overnight. Better use it now. Confirm. Refresh today's random station information. Confirm. Blue light swept across the surface of the core. The 4 original entries vanished, and new station data popped up one after another. Station 687, Grade C, info, abandoned underground mine, traces of monster activity. Station 515, Grade A, info, none. Station 250, Grade F, info, extremely scarce resources. Station 886, Grade S, info, none. Ordinary conductors seeing these 4 choices would mostly start to panic. Grade C clearly had monsters. Grade A and Grade S were complete gambles with no disclosed information. Grade F looked the safest, yet it was often swarming with other survivors. Every path was like buying a lottery ticket. The prize might be a supply crate, or it might be your name showing up on the death announcement board. In front of Lennon, the blue navigation filled in all the details. Navigation info, Station 687, Grade C abandoned mine station. Danger type, times 17 Grade C cave spiders. Estimated arriving passengers, 38, already arrived, 10. Lynn and gaze moved down. Navigation info, Station 515, Grade A Rat King's lair. Danger type, times 1 Grade A Rat King, times 326 Grade D Gray Rat Swarm. Estimated arriving passengers, 10, already arrived, 0. 10 people were on their way. Most of them probably thought the blank Grade A info meant low risk. With luck, the Rat King would not attack. With bad luck, those 10 would become prey. The third entry was even more straightforward. Navigation info, Station 250, Grade F Dry Well Station. Resources, wood times 11, drinking water times 3 liters. Estimated arriving passengers, 128, already arrived, 62. 11 pieces of wood, 3 liters of water, nearly 200 people. Lennon winced just imagining how cramped it would be. The last navigation entry. Navigation info, Station 886, Grade S Glacier Ape Stronghold. Danger type, times 3 Grade S Glacier Apes. Resources, rare grade treasure chest, materials, food. Estimated arriving passengers, 6, already arrived, 0. Lennon paused for half a second. An S-rank station, 6 people heading there? Are they going for the loot or just taking reckless risks? If they got lucky and found no apes, they would walk away with great resources. If unlucky, they would become prey. Someone would get fed either way. Lennon closed the random station page. One station with monsters and players, one overrun by rats, one where people far outnumbered supplies, and the last where you would end up hunted by giant apes. Estimated arrival time, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Lennon wasted no time on those 4 options. It's fine. I have a backup plan. Lennon tapped nearby stations. Images expanded across the core, marking 5 rail lines directly connected to Station 818. Nearby tracks expanded. Station 804, Grade D, info, underground water channel, corrosive pooled water present. Station 826, Grade A, info, none. Station 843, Grade B, info, stone forest zone, traces of large-scale creatures detected. Station 871, Grade F, info, abandoned guard post, scarce resources. Station 892, Grade A, info, none. Same old pattern. Higher grade stations came with less public information. Ordinary players would only stare at the 2 Grade A, info, none, entries and wonder whether they could survive whatever waited there. Lennon scanned through the navigation tags one by one. Navigation info, Station 804, Grade D, acid fog waterway. Danger type, corrosive acid fog. Estimated arriving passengers, 91. Not going. Navigation info, Station 826, Grade A old theater station. Danger type, no aggressive creatures. Resources, times 2 high-grade supply crates, times 1 rare-grade supply crate. Hidden area, sealed enclosed space exists. Estimated arriving passengers, 0. Lynn and's finger froze. No hostile creatures. 3 supply crates. Plus a hidden area. This was an actual viable destination. Next entry. Navigation info, Station 843, Grade B Stone Forest Station. Danger type, times 8 Grade B rock shell lizards. Estimated arriving passengers, 22, already arrived, 2. 8 Grade B monsters. 2 people had already gotten there. Skip. Navigation info, Station 871, Grade F abandoned guard post. Resources, hardtack times 8, drinking water times 4 liters. Estimated arriving passengers, 312, already arrived, 111. Hundreds of people fighting over 8 packs of hardtack. That was a suicide trip. As for the final station, 892. Navigation info. Station 892. Grade A Bloodvine Station. Danger type. Grade A Parasitic Bloodvines. Estimated arriving passengers. 3. Also out of the question. Lennon pulled his gaze away. Estimated arrival time. 2 minutes and 18 seconds. He selected Station 826. Target Station 826 Old Theater Station. Direct track connection exists between current station and target station. Estimated energy consumption, 43%. Estimated travel time, 3 minutes and 42 seconds. Confirmed departure? Lennon raised an eyebrow. Direct connected tracks really did save energy. After arriving at Station 826, he would still retain 57% of his energy. Recharging back to full would be far easier than starting from zero. Confirming departure would take only 1 second. Before that, there was one more thing to handle. Lennon opened the World Chat channel. The channel was still in total chaos. Some players cried out looking for missing family members. Some traded away their last bottle of water. Others posted high-price purchase orders for weapons. Members of the Black Serpent Guild had gone quiet. Silence like that usually meant they were taking action. Lennon pulled up his personal profile. Current channel name. Player number 114514. First name change is free. Proceed? Firesnake had tracked him down because his public trades had exposed his channel ID. As long as that name remained, the forced track merger device could lay rails straight to his location. Change it. Please enter new channel name. Lennon thought for a moment and typed in a few words. Name available. Name change successful. Current channel name. Concerned Citizen 007. Old trade records still displayed under player number 114514. Those logs would not update with his new alias. From this moment onward, that old ID was nothing more than an abandoned address. Lennon closed the chat window. Estimated arrival time, 1 minute and 21 seconds. On the map, the black forced-laid track fully merged into Station 818 Plains Station. Lennon locked all carriage doors first. Train door secured. Lennon pressed confirm. Depart. Destination confirmed. Station 826. Energy consumed for this departure, 43%. Remaining train energy, 57%. Train about to set off. Steel wheels ground against rails. The whole train jolted forward, racing along the track toward Station 826 Old Theater Station into the dark. The track that had been forcibly connected to Station 818 Plains Station now lay fully exposed. Lennon leaned back in the driver's seat. An S-Rank powerhouse came knocking at my door. Too bad. I've already left. The train rushed past the junction. Station 818 Plains Station vanished rapidly behind the gray fog. 1 minute later, outside Station 818 Plains Station, roiling gray fog was pierced by 2 bright headlight beams. Steel wheels rolled across the newly connected track. A pitch-black train etched with dark gold patterns slowly pulled into the Plains Station. The black gold train kept slowing down. Eventually, it came to a halt right in front of Firesnake's rundown train. The doors of the black gold train slid slowly open. Behind the locomotive stretched 6 neatly aligned carriages. A man stepped down onto the platform. Long black hair fell over his shoulders, and his blue eyes swept across the entire Station 818 Plains Station. The hem of his cape drifted across the threshold without making the slightest scraping sound. No living soul remained inside the station. Only Firesnake's battered train and the corpse lying inside its carriage. The man halted and lifted his gaze toward the distance. The track leading away had vanished. Closing gray fog swirled endlessly, hiding the direction the fleeing train had taken. The target was gone. He had escaped, departing mere moments before the pursuer's arrival. Black Serpent walked over to Firesnake's train. Its train core glowed bright red. Conductor deceased. Train scheduled for destruction. Black Serpent said nothing. He raised his right hand and punched straight toward the locomotive. Boom. The entire front carriage tore free from the rails and toppled sideways. Steel plating caved in massively, and the red glow on the train core flickered violently. Black Serpent drew his fist back. Not a single mark marred his knuckles. Come out and collect the body. From inside the black gold train came the sound of scales scraping across the floor. A huge black serpent head poked out of the doorway, rising as tall as an adult human's shoulder. Its thick serpentine body slithered down onto the platform and slid into Firesnake's carriage. Its jaws opened wide, and it swallowed Firesnake's corpse head first. The victim's legs dangled briefly outside before sliding completely down its throat. Black Serpent paid no further attention to the doomed train. He turned and boarded his black gold train, and the doors sealed shut behind him. Inside the train bound for Station 826, Lennon spread all his supplies out across the carriage and opened his inventory to tally his holdings. Iron ingot times 1. Wood times 39. Copper ingot times 7. Mechanical component times 2. Fire Snake had brought quite a lot of materials. Yet repairing doors, bulkheads, and walls had eaten through most of them. 78 pieces of low-grade fuel and scrap steel had all been converted into train energy. He had looted an entire enemy train. After deducting repair costs, his inventory was still depressingly meager, true to the harsh reality of this survival game. Food and daily supplies were reasonably abundant. Mutton times 20. Canned meat times 4. Hardtack times 3. Bottled water times 11. Water purification tablet times 12. In addition, intact wool hide times 3. Intact black horn times 8. Beast tendon times 4. Hemostatic bandage times 2. 1 box of painkillers times 30 pills. 2 weapons. High-grade hunting dagger. Rare-grade black fong dagger. Special items. 1 remaining use rare-grade force track merger device, plus a common-grade carriage blueprint. And finally his abilities. S-Rank, full map station navigation. C-Rank, physical body enhancement. Fire Snake came all the way here. The most valuable thing I gained was the lesson he brought me. Lin closed his inventory window. The train still held 57% energy. That meant once he reached station 826, he still retained an escape option. If something went terribly wrong, burning extra materials in the furnace could restore enough energy for another emergency departure. The trouble at Station 818 had taught him a vital survival lesson. Public trading itself was not the danger. The danger was that your channel ID could be targeted by the force track merger device. From now on, when trading, he should seek out individual buyers directly through private messages. 1 contact per deal, and the conversation once finished. No more large-scale public listing of goods. If even a chat nickname could be used to lay enemy tracks, his real name must never be revealed under any circumstance. And the most important rule of all, trading should only happen when the train held enough energy to depart for another station. While the train was in motion, the force track merger device could not take effect. When docked, sufficient energy allowed him to flee immediately if an enemy track began connecting. Never repeat what had happened at Station 818, staying docked with only 5% energy left, while openly selling large quantities of goods. The first time, an enemy had delivered himself to your doorstep. The next time, you might end up on the death announcement. Lin mentally reviewed all the high-grade stations he had seen earlier. Station 515, Grade A Rat King's Lair. Station 886, Grade S Glacier Ape Stronghold. Station 892, Grade A Bloodvine Station. Station 818 Plains Station where he had once docked, and Station 826 Old Theater Station he was heading toward now. He wondered whether stations disappeared permanently if you passed them up. Random refreshes, nearby track scans, and manual station number input might all bring the same station back again. Memorizing a station number meant avoiding a potential trap later. Lennon had just finished sorting his thoughts when the rapidly scrolling world chat messages were suddenly overridden by a post marked with a guild leader prefix. Black Serpent Guild Leader Black Serpent. Player number 114514. A second message followed right after. Black Serpent Guild Leader Black Serpent. I don't know whether you got lucky or used some special trick to escape me. Black Serpent Guild Leader Black Serpent. But mark my words. Do not ever let me get hold of any trace of you. No insults. No spamming. 3 sentences, and then a public bounty appeared pinned to the top of the world channel. Black Serpent Guild Bounty. Collect all train core arrival logs and related information about everyone who visited Station 818 around Fire Snake's death. Reward for valid information. Wood times 2500, iron ingot times 2500, copper ingot times 2000, mechanical component times 1000. The chat channel exploded instantly. Player number 821 mineral water, 2000 of each resource. Did I read that right? Iron pots do self. 8,000 units of materials just for some arrival records? Player number 905 armored door. You could build so many new carriages with those supplies. Cabbage to potato. Who was player number 114514? Did he kill Fire Snake? Lennon stared at his old ID for 2 seconds. They're looking for player number 114514. What does that have to do with concerned citizen 007? Changing his name had severed the targeting function of the force track merger device. But Black Serpent's bounty was no empty threat. Lennon walked back over to the train core and pulled up travel history. A blue light screen unfolded. Train travel logs. Initial journey. Starting zone station 818. Arrival station. Grade A Plains Station. Recent journey. Station 818 Station 826. Current status. In transit. Every record was intact. Lennon could not view other conductors' logs from his own core. Likewise, Black Serpent could not remotely read Lin and's train core through the world chat. But if anyone gained access to his locomotive cabin and saw these logs, they would confirm he had been present at Station 818 around Firesnake's death. This bounty was far from useless. 8,000 basic materials was more than enough to incentivize countless survivors to hunt for clues. A name change only blocked location tracking. The train core still keeps my travel history. Lennon closed the travel log and double-checked door locks and core access permissions. He then opened his trade crate to confirm nothing had been left behind. No strangers were ever to enter the locomotive cabin. Never reveal his real name. Never reuse his old player ID. Firesnake had died exposing every flaw in his trading and identity security practices. A deadly but completely free lesson. The train began slowing down. Gray fog ahead parted to both sides, and the screech of steel wheels on rails grew louder. Outside the windows, the silhouette of a long-abandoned old theater emerged from the darkness. Cracked, weathered walls. Sealed main entrance. Not a single lamp burned inside the whole building. The blue core popped up arrival notifications. Train has arrived at Station 826. Station name, Old Theater Station. Remaining train energy, 57%. The steel wheels ground to a full halt. Lennon stood up and strapped the Black Fong dagger to his waist. Train has arrived at Station 826. Station name, Old Theater Station. Remaining train energy, 57%. Estimated time to fully recharge to 100%. 30 hours, 57 minutes, 36 seconds. Doors unlocked. Cold wind carrying dust and mildew gusted into the carriages. In the upper left corner of his vision, a blue mini-map unfolded. High-grade supply crate ×1, coordinates, beneath ticket office counter. High-grade supply crate ×1, coordinates, second floor lighting control room. Rare grade supply crate ×1, coordinates, under seat, row 7, auditorium. Estimated arriving passengers, 0, already arrived. 1. Lennon pulled open the carriage door. The theater's main gate stood less than 50 meters away. Its two wooden doors were mostly rotted away, blocked by collapsed stone pillars and rubble. An ordinary explorer would spend ages just clearing the entrance. Lennon circled around and pushed open a half-destroyed staff entry door. The navigation route neatly avoided all collapsed debris. Other people explore ruins. I follow navigation to collect supplies. The first crate was hidden beneath the ticket counter, buried under splintered planks, accessible only through a half-meter gap. Lennon activated physical body enhancement and lifted the counter with one hand. A silver-colored crate came into view. Open high-grade supply crate. Obtained. Wood ×46. Obtained. Iron ingot ×22. Obtained. Low-grade fuel block ×12. Obtained. Can meat ×2. He stowed the loot and hurried upstairs. Half of the staircase had caved in. Lennon jumped across the gap by stepping on the handrail and kicked open the lighting control room door. The second crate sat behind the control console. Open high-grade supply crate. Obtained. Wood ×44. Obtained. Iron ingot ×31. Obtained. Copper ingot ×11. Obtained. Mechanical component ×2. Obtained. Common grade breaching hammer ×1. Obtained. Bottled water ×4. 2 crates secured. Lennon deactivated physical body enhancement and descended another staircase toward the auditorium. The rare grade crate was buried beneath row 7 seats, crushed under 3 connected benches. Ordinary conductors, even knowing a rare crate lay somewhere in the theater, would have to flip through hundreds of seats one by one. Lennon only needed to remove 3. The purple crate lid swung open. Open rare grade supply crate. Obtained. Iron ingot ×38. Obtained. Copper ingot ×25. Obtained. Mechanical component ×5. Obtained. Blueprint. High-grade constant temperature carriage module ×1. Obtained. Old theater black ticket stub ×1. The constant temperature module regulated temperature inside a single carriage. It would prove useful for growing crops, preserving fresh meat, or traveling through extreme cold or high-temperature stations in the future. Unfortunately, crafting it required a large volume of materials. Lennon put the blueprint away and picked up the black ticket stub. Old theater ticket stub. Performance. Final show. Seat. Row 0, seat 4. Effect. Unknown. Printed on its back were 4 closed-loop rail lines. The 4 rails enclosed a circle at their center, forming the shape of an eye. That symbol again. It had appeared on the Black Fong dagger blueprint, the carriage blueprint, and the forced track merger device. Now it showed up on this theater ticket stub as well. One item with the mark could be a coincidence. For different artifacts from separate stations bearing the exact same symbol could hardly be random manufacturer's branding. Whatever lay behind this I symbol was something veteran players might know more about. Lennon slipped the ticket stub into his pocket and headed back to the train. After merging the 3 crates loot with his prior stock, his material inventory read as follows: wood times 129, iron ingot times 92, copper ingot times 43, mechanical component times 9. Constructing 1 common grade carriage required wood times 200, iron ingot times 120, copper ingot times 40, mechanical component times 10. He already had enough copper. Still short 71 units of lumber, 28 units of iron ingots, and 1 mechanical component. The gap was small, but scavenging for the rest at 1 or 2 upcoming stations would cost too much time. Lennon opened the regional channel and filtered only purchase requests. Putting goods on public display was equivalent to hanging his name out for everyone to see. For safety's sake, he would keep a low profile. Instead of posting his own ad, he opened an existing buying post and sent a private chat request. The other party accepted almost instantly. Roasted fully, buying water. We'll trade lumber for water. Name your price. My station is hitting 46 degrees Celsius. If I don't get water soon, I'm done for. Enthusiastic Citizen 007. 2 bottles of purified water for 80 lumber. Roasted fully. You might as well rob me. Enthusiastic Citizen 007. Robbing means I'd have to travel. This is doorstep delivery. The other side fell silent for more than 10 seconds. Roasted fully, deal. 2 bottles of water went into the trade crate. 80 units of lumber were placed in return. Both sides confirmed. Trade complete. Lennon moved on to the next buyer. Steel bun, buying large quantities of food, paying in iron ingots. Meat preferred. Enthusiastic Citizen 007. 3 portions of fresh mutton for 35 iron ingots. Steel bun, 25. Enthusiastic Citizen 007. Starve at your own pace. I'm in no hurry. Steel bun, fine, 35 it is. The last trade was even simpler. Another conductor who owned mechanical parts but lacked food traded 2 mechanical components for 1 portion of mutton. From entering the theater to finishing inventory of the 3 treasure chests, over an hour had passed. The 3 trades took another 10 minutes. During automatic charging, the value on the train core climbed from 57% to 59%. Current train energy, 59%. Estimated time to full charge 100%. Approximately 29 hours 30 minutes. 10 minutes later, all required materials were gathered. Lumber times 209. Iron ingots times 127. Copper ingots times 43. Mechanical components times 11. He still had 13 bottles of water and 16 portions of mutton left. Lennon closed the private message channel. Contacting buyers one-on-one was far safer than public listings. Not perfectly safe, of course. Those 3 traders all knew the handle, Enthusiastic Citizen 007. But his energy sat at 59%. His navigation could detect forced track segments ahead. If anyone came looking for trouble, he could depart at any moment. Lennon pulled out the ordinary tier carriage blueprint and pressed it against the train core. Learn ordinary tier carriage blueprint? Learn. The blueprint dissolved into specks of light and merged into the core. New crafting options lit up inside the furnace. Ordinary tier carriage. Crafting requirements. Lumber times 200, iron ingots times 120, copper ingots times 40, mechanical components times 10. Proceed with crafting? Yes. Massive amounts of materials poured into the furnace. Blue flames rose along its inner walls, and the whole train shuddered gently. Crafting consumed. Lumber times 200, iron ingots times 120, copper ingots times 40, mechanical components times 10. Remaining construction materials in storage. Lumber times 9, iron ingots times 7, copper ingots times 3, mechanical components times 1. Crafting started. Estimated remaining time, 3 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. In 4 hours, his train would expand from 1 carriage to 2, rising from rank E to rank D. Looting an entire train belonging to Fire Serpent had barely been enough to repair a door. Selling 2 bottles of water and some mutton had built him a new carriage. Trading really was more civilized than robbery, and the profits could be just as substantial. While waiting, Lennon reopened his navigation map. The 3 resource blips had vanished. Yet deep inside the theater, an area remained enclosed by a blue outline. Hidden region, sealed space. Coordinates, main stage. Map route, train staff passage auditorium, main stage. No danger warning. No resource description. Dagger in hand, Lennon left the train once more. The red stage curtains on the main stage were rotten. Cracked wooden floorboards creaked underfoot. The navigational path stretched onward, ending behind the stage. Only a solid wall stood before him. Lennon struck twice with the hilt of his dagger. Bang! Plaster crumbled away, revealing solid stone underneath. He tapped several other spots. Every echo sounded dull. According to the navigation, the hidden space lay behind this wall, yet there was no entrance. Setting down his dagger, he scanned the wall. Mold-stained streaks crawled upward from the corners, forming 4 long, curved marks. Cracks snaked across the floor beneath his feet. From most angles, it was nothing more than mold-covered stone and split planks. Lennon stepped back. A black ticket stub slipped halfway out of his pocket. Row 0, seat 4. In normal theaters, seating always began with row 1. He turned toward the front of the stage. A row of old seats, boarded over, sat at the very front of the auditorium. He pried away the planks. On the armrest of the central seat hung a rusted bronze plaque. Row 0, seat 4. Lennon sat down, his eyes leveled with the stage. At that instant, the 4 mold stains on the wall aligned with the floor cracks. 4 track-like lines connected end to end, leaving an eye-shaped void at their center, exactly matching the pattern printed on the reverse of his ticket stub. He drew his black fong dagger. The marking on the bottom of its hilt bore the identical symbol. This isn't a manufacturing stamp. It looks more like the keyhole for a door. Stepping onto the stage, he knelt to examine the crack at the center of the pattern. He failed to notice a narrow, head-sized slit silently tearing open in the supposedly solid wall behind him. Deep within the fissure, a bloodshot eyeball slowly opened. Its pupil darted briefly, then fixed itself squarely on Lin En's back. Down at the bottom of his blue navigation overlay, a number flickered. Number of arrived individuals, 1-2. The second the number jumped, Lin En did not waste time glancing back. He pushed off with his legs and rolled forward. Landing, he spun around. Black fong dagger reversed and held across his chest. A gap wider than a human head had split the stone wall. An eyeball the size of a human head bulged inside. Its bloodshot sclera locked straight onto him. They stared at each other across half the stage. The eyeball held still. Lennon stepped left. The pupil swiveled to follow. He moved 2 meters to the right. Once again, the eyeball tracked him. No lunging attacks. No bizarre appendages lashed out. No grotesque figure emerged to make strange propositions. No red threat marker showed on the navigation. No hazard classification. Only the count of arrived individuals stayed at 2. The second arrived being is just this eyeball? Lennon grabbed a piece of broken wood and hurled it at the wall. Crack. The fragment struck beside the eyeball. The orb recoiled slightly into the crevice, only to refocus on him moments later. Lack of hostile intent did not equal safety. Lennon had no intention of walking over to inspect it closely. He raised his right arm, took aim, and threw the black fong dagger. Squelch. The dark blade sank dead center into the eyeball. The orb convulsed violently. Instead of bleeding, it dragged the dagger backward into the crack. Boom. The entire stone wall shook. The fissure expanded upward and downward, sending fragments raining down. 1 meter. 2 meter. Heavy stone slabs rumbled apart, revealing a passage sloping downward. The black fong dagger clattered onto the threshold. Lennon picked it up and wiped translucent slime off the blade. Hidden region entrance unlocked. Map route. Main stage underground passage central hall. Resource coordinates. 63 meters from current location. Number of arrived individuals, 2. A treasure chest icon lit up on his blue mini-map. Lennon glanced at the counter. It remained at 2. Though the eyeball itself was gone, the number had not reset. Within the navigation's logic, this second audience member had not departed. Perhaps it lingered deeper in the passage. Using an eyeball as a lock, this theater would never pass safety inspections. Gripping his dagger tight, Lennon stepped into the passage. No lamps lit the way. Every few meters along the stone walls were carvings of closed rail, track patterns. This stonework differed entirely from the upper-level theater. While the building above was rotten and crumbling, the underground passage showed barely any weathering. It seemed the old theater had been built atop this pre-existing space, with the stage covering its entrance. The passage descended more than 10 meters before splitting into 10 identical corridors. Stone brick, total darkness, and decayed skeletons littered the floors near each opening. Most explorers would have been forced to pick one at random, and a wrong turn likely meant no return. Lin En's blue map unfolded. Among the 10 gray routes, only the 7th glowed with a thin bright line, ending at a treasure chest marker. Resource coordinates, deep within hidden region. Map route, 7th passage left, side stone gate lower cloister central hall. Hazard classification, mechanized traps. Number of arrived individuals, 2. The navigation offered no advice. It merely presented the sole viable path. That was answer enough. 10 paths. 9 lead to doom. Whoever built this place must have had a grim sense of design. Lin entered the 7th passage. The first 3 meters were uneventful. Approaching a pale, white stone tile, the mapped route veered sharply along the wall. Instead of stepping onto the tile, Lin sidestepped past it. He then knocked loose a rock fragment with his breaching hammer and tossed it onto the pale tile. Click! The tile sank. Dozens of iron spears shot out from both walls, crossing to block the entire corridor. 2 seconds later, the spears retracted, and the floor reset. Lin's gaze fell on several skeletons skewered together ahead. They had lacked navigation. They had marched forward in formation, and they had perished together. Lin followed the blue line onward. Along the way, he circled 2 floor panels and hugged the wall to evade a fall trap. At the end of the 7th passage, the blue path turned left. The stone wall there possessed no handle, no visible seam. As Lin drew near, the massive stone gate rumbled upward. Beyond lay a wider lower cloister. The instant he crossed the threshold, faint scraping sounds echoed out of the darkness behind him. He spun around. The 7th passage stood empty. No targets appeared on his map. Yet the feeling of being watched persisted, emanating from wall crevices, from overhead shadows, from the surrounding blackness. It was as if the eyeball had never truly left, merely relocated to observe him from elsewhere. Number of arrived individuals, 2. Keep watching, then. Just don't try charging admission. Lin continued down the cloister. Near a stone pillar, the blue route ordered him to halt and circle behind it. Even though no physical obstacle blocked the way, he threw another rock fragment onto ground outside the marked safe path. The moment the stone landed, boom. A 3-meter-long guillotine dropped from above. Its heavy blade bit half a meter deep into the stone pavement. After a pause, it slowly rose back into shadow. This old theater serves no popcorn, only fatal surprises. Past the guillotine section, the stone gate at the cloister's far end lifted open. Beyond was a circular hall. At its center rested a treasure chest, glowing golden. For colossal stone statues, over 10 meters tall, ringed the room. The first wore a smile, hands holding a bouquet of flowers. The second glared fiercely, gripping a broken axe. The third bowed its head in sorrow, a shattered mask cupped in its palms. The fourth held a stone zither, head tilted back in wild laughter. Joy, anger, sorrow, delight. Though their postures differed, every statue faced the central chest. Embedded in each statue's chest was a dim blue crystal, similar in material to Lin's train core. 4 black rail track patterns ran from beneath each statue, connecting in a closed eye-shaped loop around the golden chest. Once more an eye motif, only this time, the treasure chest sat where a pupil should be. Carved onto the hall wall were 2 lines of text. Act 4, The Fool. Performers enter. Faces cast aside. Lin studied the statues. No immediate danger registered on navigation. The blue route led straight toward the central chest. He walked up to the golden chest. It bore no keyhole, only a paper, thin slot etched with 3 digits. Row 0, seat 4. Lin pulled out his black theater ticket stub and slotted it in. It fit perfectly. Click. The ticket stub turned to ash. The blue crystals embedded in the 4 statues blazed bright for an instant, then faded. Lin's hand tightened around his dagger. The statues remained motionless. Inside the chest lay no materials, food, or blueprints. Only a single white mask. Its left side curved upward in a smile. Its right side drooped in grief, and a teardrop mark ran beneath its right eye. On its forehead was carved the familiar closed rail eye symbol. Lin reached out and lifted the mask. Golden light flooded the entire hall. Mythic, tier item discovered. Lin froze. Ordinary. Fine. Rare. Legendary. Mythic. The highest grade item he had obtained so far had only been rare. This hidden treasure chest had skipped straight past legendary to grant him a mythic tier artifact. Item statistics unfolded before his eyes. Mythic tier mask of the Fool properties. When worn, grants complete control over facial features, voice, hairstyle, and body build. No fixed disguise templates. Appearance can be reconfigured freely through imagination. Durability, indestructible. Before the item description faded, a guild bounty flashed across the top of the world channel. Black Serpent Guild bounty updated. Report any recently renamed conductors or those refusing to share their train travel logs. Black Serpent Guild, Guild Leader, Black Serpent. Once located, notify our guild immediately. Seal their track and await my men. Black Serpent Guild, Lizard, Boss. That newcomer cannot escape. Black Serpent Guild, Lizard. The shallow zone is vast, but he must interact with others and trade sooner or later. Lin read through the messages and picked up the white mask. 8,000 resource units spent hunting for one man's identity. Now he could wear any identity he wished. They've done their research. Shame their information is already outdated. The mask felt surprisingly light. It possessed no straps or fasteners. Lennon pressed it against his face. Cold surfaces met his skin. The white shell softened like thin liquid, flowing along his jawline, temples and forehead before merging completely into his skin. Within seconds the mask vanished entirely. His breathing stayed unobstructed. His vision remained clear. Lennon held up the black, Fong dagger. Its dark surface reflected his original face, sharp, arched brows, black hair, familiar features. No seam or edge of the mask was visible. He touched his cheeks with his fingertips, feeling nothing but normal skin. True shape, shifting. He studied his reflection in the blade. This is far more than a simple mask. It is perfect physical disguise. Lennon focused his thoughts. In the reflection, his hair shortened, his brow ridge raised, eye sockets deepened, and jaw broadened. His skin tone darkened. In under 3 seconds, the reflection showed a broad-faced man in his 30s. Lennon spoke to test his new voice. HM. 1, 2, 3, mic check. A deep, rumbling tone echoed through the hall, completely unlike his natural voice. He adjusted his build next. Shoulders widened. Height increased from 178 centimeters to 185 centimeters, giving him a heavily built frame. His clothes, however, did not transform along with him. Fabric strained tight across his torso, and his shoes pinched uncomfortably. The mask altered his body, but could not conjure well-fitted clothing out of nowhere. If he wished to pretend to be a 2-meter giant, he would first need sturdy garments. Otherwise, even with his face hidden, his ill-fitted outfit would draw unwanted attention. Lennon reset his face, voice and physique back to normal. The reflection in the dagger returned to his own likeness. He inspected himself thoroughly. To the naked eye, there were zero tells. The mask of the fool had no usage limit and suffered no wear. So long as he did not will it away, the disguise persisted. Still, it was not omnipotent. It changed appearance, voice, and build, yet could not alter channel usernames, train permissions, or erase existing travel logs. Black Serpent could still verify that player number 114514 had visited Station 818 plane. What they could no longer do was pick him out among hundreds of different faced conductors. Problems nevertheless remained. His outward look could shift, yet his channel username stayed fixed as Enthusiastic Citizen 007. If he kept trading under that handle, every new face would eventually tie back to the same identity. And channel usernames were what forced track synchronizers used to lock onto targets. To assign separate personas to different disguises, he still needed an item that allowed username changes. Train permissions and travel history would remain unchanged for the same conductor, but one conductor ought to be able to hold multiple channel identities. Black Serpent offered 8,000 resource units to hunt player number 114514. Lennon glanced at his mirrored reflection and smiled faintly. Once I get my hands on a rename item, I could help him search for that person too. As he prepared to lower his dagger, a thought struck him. Staring at the imagined unfamiliar face in his mind, he considered another application. Perhaps I could create a false suspect to divert attention. He pushed the idea aside. It was merely a possible strategy, one he would only enact if circumstances truly warranted it. Right now, he already possessed the mythic tier artifact. Tampering further with the 4 statues would be nothing short of reckless. Lennon straightened his collar and turned toward the hall exit. The 4 statues still faced the treasure chest. Joy with flowers, anger with broken axe, sorrow with the shattered mask, delight embracing the stone zither. None stirred. His blue navigation map reopened in the upper, left corner of his vision. Map route, Central Hall Lower Cloister left, Sidestone Gate 7th Passage Main Stage. Number of arrived individuals, 2. The count still read 2. That observing entity had never truly gone away. Lennon glanced at the number, but kept walking. It made no attacks, and navigation registered no active hazard. He saw no reason to risk his life investigating the true nature of that watching presence. Keep observing all you like. I'm heading back to my train to wait for construction to finish. Lennon passed back through the stone gate into the lower cloister. The deep gash left by the guillotine remained on the floor, the blade itself retracted into shadow. Following the blue path, he circled behind the stone pillar and crossed the danger zone safely. Returning took far less time than the inward journey. Do not step on the whitened stone bricks. Stick close to the wall and flip plate zones. Do not linger beneath falling rock traps. To ordinary train captains, these are hard-won lessons bought with lives. To Lennon, They are just a few lines on a map. At the end of the 7th passage, a stone gate slowly rose. Wind drifted in from the stage outside. Rotting curtains fluttered gently. Lennon stepped out of the underground entrance. The stone gate crashed shut behind him. Boom. The stone slabs slid together, and the stage returned to its original state. From the outside, there was no sign of the passage hidden below. Lennon glanced back. No eyeballs lined the walls, nor were there any cracks. Only mottled plaster and 4 curved mold-stained marks remained. Intertwined, the 4 stains formed the pattern of a closed railroad track. At its center sat an eye-shaped blank space. Lennon did not smash the wall again. The entrance had already opened once. The mythic, grade supplies had been retrieved. Staying any longer would yield nothing. He left the theater via the staff passage and returned to his train. When he got back, the 4-hour forge crafting countdown had run its course. His train, once only a single carriage, now had a brand new car coupled to its rear. The car was silver, gray all over, with only 1 row of windows along its sides and no extra side doors. The side doors of the original car remained locked. Lennon raised a hand to signal for them to open. Doors unlocked. The side door of the first carriage slid open to both sides. The familiar smell of metal washed over him. The moment Lennon stepped into the locomotive, new information lit up on the train core. Current train energy, 65%. More than 4 hours of automatic charging had brought energy from 59% up to 65%. A low vibration rumbled from within the forge. Then its blue flames died down. Common. Grade carriage construction complete. Train formation. Locomotive ×1, carriage ×2. Train rank elevated. Rank E rank D. Train carrying capacity increased. Forge crafting permissions upgraded. Carriage customization function unlocked. Lennon walked into the original first carriage, crossed the connecting gangway, and pushed open the door leading to the new car. Rivets lined the gangway in neat rows. A white lamp hung beside the door. The interior of the new carriage was equally bare. Smooth steel panels lined every wall, and its space was comparable to the first carriage, save for the absence of side doors. Lennon stood in the middle of the car and glanced up at the ceiling light strip. From this day onward, he was no longer limited to a locomotive and 1 hollow carriage. He had an extra car. His old carriage had been crammed full of materials and junk, cutting its usable floor space in half. Food and water were stored inside the locomotive's trade crate. Though merely an iron box, the new carriage represented a genuine expansion of his living space. More than just extra room came with the Rank D upgrade. Real, world living functions had also been unlocked. Lennon went back to the locomotive and pulled up the train core panel. Train rank D. Current train structure. Locomotive ×1, carriage ×2. Rank D. Base train components unlocked. Train component. Bedroom train component. Bedroom. Lennon tapped to view its details. Common, grade bedroom component. Function. Convert a designated carriage into a basic bedroom. Configuration. Single bed, nightstand, storage cabinets, desk, and chair set. Lighting, blackout curtains. Crafting requirements. Intact wool pelt ×3, lumber ×60, iron ingot ×20, copper ingot ×5, mechanical part ×2. Lennon glanced at the materials stacked beside the forge. Lumber ×9. Iron ingot ×7. Copper ingot ×3. Mechanical part ×1. He had exactly 3 intact wool pelts. Nearly everything else was in short supply. Fresh off building the second carriage, his stockpile had returned to the typical poverty of a survival game. Lennon looked over at the first carriage. Portions of his water, canned goods, medicine, black horns, and loose materials lay scattered across the floor. A blueprint tube leaned against the corner, and his breaching hammer sat in the middle of the aisle, forcing anyone passing to sidestep around it. He could craft the bedroom later. First, he needed to tidy his belongings. Lennon pulled up basic crafting options inside the forge. Common, grade storage crate. Crafting requirements. Lumber ×3, iron ingot ×1. Estimated crafting time, 5 seconds. Craft 3. Blue flames flared one after another. 15 seconds later, 3 half-man, tall wooden storage crates clanged onto the carriage floor. All 9 units of lumber were consumed, leaving 4 iron ingots remaining. Lennon stowed food and water inside the first crate, medicine and water, purification tablets in the second, and black horns, animal sinew, fuel, and blueprints inside the third. His hunting dagger hung at his waist. The black-toothed dagger stayed on his person. The breaching hammer was set beside the door. Most of the first carriage was now cleared out. Doesn't look like it got ransacked anymore. Lennon's gaze drifted over the repaired door. Though it very much was ransacked, he returned to the locomotive and opened the regional channel. Posting public buy, sell orders carried too much risk. This time, Lennon only searched for players posting by requests for food, water, and medicine, sending private chat requests to each one. The first contact was at a station badly short on water. Dried out man. High price for water and purification tablets. Got lots of lumber. Don't try to rip me off. Civilian 007. For bottled waters, 6 purification tablets. Trade for 70, 2 lumber. Dried out man. Your offer practically has sucker written all over it. Civilian 007. Keep going thirsty then. Wait for prices to drop on their own. Several seconds of silence passed. Dried out man, deal. Silver light blazed from the trade crate. For bottles of water and 6 purification tablets vanished, and 72 units of lumber appeared neatly inside. His second contact was buying medicine in a panic. Half, dead 6, buying hemostatics and painkillers. Paying in copper ingots, urgent. Civilian 007. 1 roll of hemostatic bandages, 15 painkillers. Trade for 8 copper ingots. The other party accepted without haggling. Half, dead 6, fine, trade immediately. His third contact was searching for meat supplies. Grave, digger miners, trading mechanical parts and iron ingots for food. PM me if you've got meat. Civilian 007. 8 portions of fresh mutton, 3 cans of preserved meat. Trade for 20, for iron ingots, 3 mechanical parts. Grave, digger miners, is the mutton actually fresh? Civilian 007. It's not going anywhere. Gravedigger miners. Trade point 3 consecutive trades lit up the crate. Lennon pulled up his supply inventory. Current building materials, lumber times 72, iron ingot times 28, copper ingot times 11, mechanical part times 4. He had more than enough to craft the bedroom component, with leftovers for train repairs. Lennon fed the 3 intact wool pelts and required building materials into the forge. Crafting consumption. Intact wool pelt times 3, lumber times 60, iron ingot times 20, copper ingot times 5, mechanical part times 2. Common grade bedroom component. Crafting in progress. 00:00:30. Blue fire wrapped around the materials. When the countdown hit 0, a half-meter-long silver-gray component popped out of the forge. Its surface bore an engraved bed pattern, crisscrossed by glowing blue internal lines. Common grade bedroom component. Crafting complete. Lennon picked up the component and walked over to the train core. Beneath the core lay 3 functional component slots. Upon reaching rank D, an additional carriage component slot had appeared beside them. Train functional slots, 0/3. Carriage component slot, 0/1. Lennon slotted the bedroom component into the new opening. Click. The component locked into place and connected to the train core. Common grade bedroom component detected. Please select target for modification. Carriage 1. Carriage 2. Carriage 2. Blue light streamed backward from the core. Continuous metal shifting echoed through the gangway, and soft assembly sounds hummed deep within the carriage walls. In under 10 seconds, the modification notification faded. Lennon stepped out of the locomotive. Carriage 1 remained unchanged. He crossed the gangway and entered Carriage 2. The once empty car had been completely transformed. A single bed draped in off-white bedding sat against the left wall. A wooden nightstand stood at its head. A desk and chair set rested below the windows, and a bank of storage cabinets was embedded into the opposite wall. Soft light spilled from the ceiling. Dark curtains had been fitted to both side windows. The mattress yielded with a springy bounce when pressed. Lennon walked to the bed and pressed a palm down onto it. Soft and resilient. He sat on the edge of the bed for 2 quiet seconds. Other players in the channels were begging for sips of water or fighting over scraps of bread. His survival train now held a proper sleeping quarters. A bed, table and chairs, lights, cabinets, everything's here. Time to enjoy the view out the window. Lennon turned toward the window. Outside, the old theater loomed in darkness. Rotten wooden doors swayed gently, and no light shone through its broken windows. Further out swirled thick, gray fog. Lennon pulled the curtains shut. Scratch that line about enjoying the view. He opened the train system interface. All exterior doors. Locked. Locomotive partition door. Locked. Train core access. Captain only. After verifying every lock, he set the black-toothed dagger beside the pillow and lay down. The mattress supported his body. The sealed carriage blocked out the wind whistling around the old theater. He slept for 8 full hours. When Lennon woke, the ceiling light strip was still lit. He grabbed the black-toothed dagger, walked through Carriage 1, and returned to the locomotive. The train core was charging steadily. Current train energy, 76%. Estimated time to full charge, 17 hours 16 minutes. Energy had not hit maximum, so there was no rush to depart. Lennon pulled up his train supply log and tallied his inventory anew. Basic building materials: lumber times 12, iron ingot times 8, copper ingot times 6, mechanical part times 2. Energy supplies: low-quality fuel block times 12. Food: raw mutton times 8, preserved meat can times 1, hardtack times 3. Drinking water: bottled water times 5, purification tablet times 6. Medical supplies: common-grade hemostatic bandage times 1, common-grade painkiller times 15. Biological materials: intact black horn times 8, animal sinew times 4. Weapons tools: high-grade hunting dagger times 1, rare-grade blacktooth dagger times 1, common-grade breaching hammer times 1. Containers: high-grade expanded capacity backpack times 1. Special items: rare-grade force track merger device times 1, high-grade constant temperature carriage component blueprint times 1. A batch of supplies was gone. Yet the train now held 3 storage crates and a full bedroom. The trade-off had been well worth it. Lennon took the last can of preserved meat from his food crate, popped its metal ring, and ate as he walked back to the train core. In the bottom right corner of the core, the daily refresh count had reset. Daily refresh count: 1/1. The previous day's station listings still populated the page. Lennon tapped refresh. Refresh. Blue light swept across the core's surface. Old station entries vanished, and 4 new sets of information materialized one after another. Station 1093, Rank E, Info, Abandoned Maintenance Depot, small quantities of basic materials present. Navigation: 1093, Rank A Maintenance Depot. Hazards: corroded golem times 6. Resources: common grade supply crate times 2. Expected arrivals: 47. Actual arrivals: 6. The next entry loaded. Station 2271, Rank C. Info: flooded mine cavern. Signs of large creature activity detected. Navigation: 2271, Rank C, flooded mine cavern. Hazards: Rank C blind crocodile times 4. Resources: copper ore deposit times 1. Expected arrivals: 18. Actual arrivals: 2. Third entry. Station 6048, Rank A. Info: none. Navigation: 6048, Runka Ashfall Station. Hazards: choking volcanic ash. Expected arrivals: 3. Actual arrivals: 0. Lennon swallowed a mouthful of canned meat and looked at the final entry. Station 7777, Rank SS. Info: none. Blue tags popped up. The station name flickered after the character flower. 2 characters jumped repeatedly before resolving into unrecognizable symbols. Navigation: 7777, Ranks flower hashtag at station. Hazards: occupied private stronghold. Expected arrivals: 0. Actual arrivals: 1. Navigation: 7777, Ranks flower hashtag at station. Hazards: occupied private stronghold. Expected arrivals: 0. Actual arrivals: 1. Lennon stared at the words private stronghold and double-checked the station number. For sevens, a station can be taken over as someone's private territory, and not by a group, a single individual. Whoever could hold an S-rank station alone might not even be human, but their power was unquestionably extraordinary. Navigation could not parse the full station name, leaving only the character, flower, and 2 garbled symbols. No monsters, disasters, or traps were listed under hazards. Only a private stronghold. Lennon tapped the train core. So the occupant themselves is the danger? He stopped digging into Station 7777. A station's rank was not only determined by its original environment, it could also shift based on the occupant's abilities. Whoever could turn an entire station into their stronghold possessed immense power. If private strongholds existed, guild-held strongholds surely existed too. What items or conditions were required to claim one was irrelevant for now. He was far from qualified to play this otherworldly version of real estate conquest. An S-rank private station. Probably cost your life just to set foot there. Lennon closed the random station page and opened nearby stations. A blue map expanded outward. 5 rail lines branching from Station 826 Old Theater lit up. The first was the station he had passed through earlier. Station 818, Rank A, previously visited, status, cannot select. Lennon tapped it. The core gave no response. Visited stations stayed listed on nearby station menus, but direct return was blocked. No going back the way I came? Lennon switched to another core page. Depart for designated station. Please input station number. Energy cost, 100%. Only a number input box appeared. No rank or public info cards. No pre-generated rail paths. No full map navigation data loaded until a valid station number was submitted. In theory, inputting 818 would force a return trip. The price, burning through 100% of his energy in one go. Lennon checked his current energy level, 76%. To go back to the thoroughly looted plane station, he would first need to fully charge, then expend every last unit of power. The lake sheep were already eaten, stored, or traded away. Both supply crates there had been emptied. What would I even go back for? To breathe thin air? Lin closed the designated station page and reviewed the remaining 4 nearby rail lines. Station 833, Rank D, Info, Damp Woodland. Signs of creature activity. Navigation, 833, Rank D, Bogwood Grove. Hazards, Rank D, blood-sucking insect swarms. Expected arrivals, 31. Actual arrivals, 4, blood-sucking insect swarms. Pass. Next entry. Station 852, Rank B. Info, Abandoned Underground City. Large creature nest detected. Navigation, 852, Rank B Hive Station. Hazards, Rank B shelled matriarch ×1, Rank D larva swarms. Also ruled out. Lennon only had Rank C physical enhancement. Even if he could outrun foes, his train could not. Once the train docked, he had to wait for energy to recharge enough for departure. A person could outrun monsters. A whole train could not. The third entry was the lowest strength. Station 879, Rank F. Info, Derelict Waiting Room. Scarce resources. Navigation, 879, Rank F. Empty Waiting Room Station. Resources, hardtack ×12, bottled water ×7. Expected arrivals, 406. Actual arrivals, 83. Lennon skipped right past it. Over 400 players for 12 packs of biscuits. That was no waiting room. It was a massive starvation camp. The final station entry unfolded. Station 888, Rank A, Info, None. Blue navigation tags followed. Navigation, 888, Rungkop Bountiful Station. No aggressive creatures. Resources, timber, common grade supply crate ×2, high grade supply crate ×1, rare grade supply crate ×1. Expected arrivals, 0. Actual arrivals, 0. Lennon stared at it for 3 seconds. Timber, for supply crates. No hostile creatures. No other captains. To other players, in a rank station with no description was a gamble between great loot or instant death. To him, it read like a shopping list. 888. The number practically promises profit. Lennon selected the station. Target, Station 888. Direct rail connection between current station and destination. Estimated energy consumption, 46%. Estimated travel time, 00:06:24. Confirm departure? Confirm. Destination confirmed. Remaining train energy, 30%. Train preparing for departure. All exterior train doors locked simultaneously. New rails materialized beneath the train, and its steel wheels began to turn. The train pulled away from Old Theater Station. Decaying buildings outside the window rushed backward and vanished into roiling gray fog. 6 minutes was not long. Lennon returned to his bedroom, set his half-eaten canned meat on the desk, and opened the World Channel. Player death notifications kept scrolling nonstop. Player number 271 green onion with soy sauce, deceased. Gonna get rich someday, deceased. Player number 903 I will survive, deceased. Spare my life, deceased. Message after message rolled in. Yet very few people were actually speaking. The World Channel held far too many users. SOS cries, trade offers, and recruitment posts vanished the moment they appeared, buried under death announcements. Lennon switched to Regional Channel, Shallow Zone. It was still bustling here. Tin box. I rolled a normal grade carriage blueprint. Buying lumber, iron ingots, copper ingots, and mechanical parts. I've got water and medicine to trade. Player number 721 cut it out. Anyone at site 314? I'm trapped in a warehouse. Something scratching at the door nonstop outside. Potato braised ribs. PM me if you're heading to low-level sites. 6-man team. Loot split based on contribution. Low-ability players welcome, but don't expect free handouts. Player number 408 cardboard box. Anyone buying intact beast hides? Trading for any quality weapons. Some players were already preparing to build their second carriage. Others were still scrambling to find food for the night. Groups were forming for mutual survival. Right then, a distress message with an attached screenshot popped into the channel. Player number 418 mousepad. I picked in a rank site with 0 available intel. Thought I'd gamble for big rewards, but I wandered straight into the Rat King's territory. Player number 418 mousepad. The doors won't hold much longer. What do I do? Urgent help. Beneath the message lay the screenshot. Dead ahead stood a heavily deformed train door. The frame bent inward, though it had not fully given way. Pressed against the glass window was an enormous rat head. The rat stood nearly as tall as an adult human, its hunched shoulders and thick forelimbs rippling with muscle. Two massive paws bore down hard on the door. Sharp fangs pressed against the glass, thick viscous saliva dripping from its jaws. Behind the Rat King swarmed countless smaller rats. Virtually the entire exterior of the train was surrounded by them. Lennon raised an eyebrow. The channel supported direct screenshot uploads. Normally people used it to show off their loot. Now it doubled as a final snapshot before death. Replies flooded the regional channel instantly. Stew myself in iron pot. What's your ability? Open the door and fight it. Steel bond. Throw materials into the furnace to repair the door. Buy as much time as you can. Player number 774 Soy milk. How much energy do you have? If you have enough, depart immediately. Mousepad never replied again. A dozen seconds later, a fresh death announcement scrolled across the top of the world channel. Player number 418 Mousepad, deceased. The regional channel fell silent for 2 seconds. Then trade requests, team-up notices, and distress calls resumed scrolling. Nobody knew him. No one could cross countless tracks and risk their lives to come to his rescue. Lynn closed the channel. A rank site with no intel. Win the gamble, and treasure chests awaited. Lose the gamble, and the Rat King would tear apart your train. At that moment, the train began to decelerate. Gray fog parted to both sides ahead, and the screech of wheels against tracks grew louder. A cold station announcement echoed through the whole carriage. Approaching station, Abundance Station. Site ID, Site 888. Approaching station, Abundance Station. Site ID, Site 888. The train burst out of the gray fog. Dense woodland filled every window view. Thick tree trunks interlocked, their foliage blocking nearly all overhead sunlight. Steel wheels slowed. The train finally came to rest in a clearing deep within the forest. The tracks faded away behind it. Without track support, the entire train sank slightly, its wheels sinking into soft soil. Train has arrived at Site 888. Remaining train energy, 30%. Estimated full recharge time, 50 hours 24 minutes. Carriage doors unlocked. A blue map expanded outward. Normal grade supply, crate times 1. Distance, 183 meters. Normal grade supply, crate times 1. Distance, 527 meters. Fine grade supply, crate times 1. Distance, 711 meters. Rare grade supply, crate times 1. Distance, 1,348 meters. Harvestable resource, trees. Expected arriving players, 0. Players already on site, 1. Lennon did not step out right away. He headed to the first carriage and slung on a gray-black backpack. He had looted it from the Fire Serpent train. Outwardly, it looked like an ordinary day pack, yet its internal storage was far larger than its appearance suggested. Fine-grade, expansive backpack. Internal volume, 2 cubic meters. Weight rule, stored items are volume compressed, effective carried weight reduced by 50%. Higher carried weight slows movement speed. Lennon fastened the expansive backpack, grabbed his breaching hammer and hunting dagger, then opened the door. Damp air rushed into the carriage, carrying the mixed scent of soil, rotting leaves, and plant life, far more pleasant than the old theater. Towering trees over 12 meters high ringed the clearing. The nearest trunk would take 2 adults linking arms to encircle. Lennon stepped down and slammed the door shut behind him. Exterior train door locked. Access permission, conductor only. Resources were abundant, yet he only had 2 daggers. Lennon drew his hunting dagger and sliced into tree bark. The blade sank several centimeters before getting jammed fast. Even with his physical enhancement active, swinging both daggers in turn would likely wear out the blades before felling more than a couple trees. Other people do wilderness survival, starting with an axe. I start with 2 daggers, performing minor surgery on trees. He sheathed the daggers, abandoning the futile attempt. Crates came first. The nearest normal grade supply crate lay along a blue navigation path that wound through 2 thickets and skirted a muddy depression, ending beside a fallen dead tree. Most of the crate was buried under fallen leaves. Without the navigation marker, one could walk straight past it without noticing. Lennon brushed aside foliage and lifted the lid. Opening normal grade supply crate. Obtained, lumber times 6. Obtained, iron ingot times 3. Obtained, empty glass bottle times 3. No weapons, no tools. 6 pieces of lumber were not even enough to craft 2 storage crates. Normal grade indeed. Opened, yet barely rewarding. Lennon stowed the materials in his backpack and set off toward the second marker. No established paths wound through the forest. Thick dead leaves carpeted the ground. Tangled vines spread across sections of terrain. Fortunately, the navigation plotted a direct route with no hazard warnings along the way. After walking more than 300 meters, a hollow ancient tree loomed ahead. The second crate sat inside its hollow trunk. The opening was narrow, only wide enough for a person to bend and crawl inside. Lennon did not reach in blindly. He used his breaching hammer to push away dead twigs, checking for snakes or vermin before dragging the supply crate out. He flipped open the lid. Opening normal-grade supply crate. Obtained, lumber times 5. Obtained, copper ingot times 2. Obtained, normal-grade lumber axe times 1. A half-meter axe landed in his hands, wooden haft and iron blade. It was crudely finished, yet vastly more practical than scraping bark with daggers. Normal-grade lumber axe. Usage, felling trees, processing wood materials. Durability, 100%. Lennon hefted the axe, testing its weight. Just what I needed. Shame it's not a blueprint. Ready-made tools were convenient, but turned useless once durability hit 0. Repairing them consumed extra materials and time. Blueprints let you craft replacements repeatedly. As long as basic resources held out, you could forge another axe when one broke. Still, having something was better than nothing. Abundant Station was covered in trees. Once he looted the remaining 2 crates, he could use his physical enhancement to chop down a large stockpile of lumber. Enhancement boosted his physical power, yet it would not magically upgrade a common axe. If he unleashed 8 times his normal strength swinging it, the axe handle would shatter before the tree toppled. He would have to carefully control his force while working. Now that he had an axe, Lennon chose not to start chopping immediately. Cutting trees now would drain his stamina early. Piling lumber on-site would mean multiple extra trips hauling everything back to the train. It was far more efficient to collect all loot first, then plan logging positions and hauling routes. Haven't even finished looting crates, and I'm already working. That's hardly respecting the art of taking it easy. Lennon clipped the axe to the side of his backpack and followed the map markers onward. The fine-grade supply crate sat more than 700 meters away. The terrain gradually sloped downwards. After crossing a fern-covered hillside, the sound of running water drifted over from his right. A 2-meter-wide stream cut through the woods. The water was shallow, its bed lined with smooth pebbles. Finger-length fish hid among the stones, darting into aquatic weeds spooked by his footsteps. A new resource marker appeared on his navigation map. Resource marker, stream. Hazard level, none. Lennon crouched by the bank, but refrained from drinking directly. He pulled the 3 newly acquired empty glass bottles from his backpack, plus 1 emptied bottle he had carried along. He planned to stay at Abundant Station for a while, and logging would burn through water quickly. He soon filled all 4 bottles and dropped 1 water purification tablet into each. Purification in progress. Estimated completion, 10 minutes. Though the stream itself held no dangers, drinking unprocessed water could still cause stomach illness. Dying from stomach trouble in this underground train survival world would make for a rather undignified death notice. Trees secured, water secured. If I could set up a vegetable patch, I could apply for permanent residency here. That thought remained just a fantasy. Once the train finished charging, it had to depart within 8 hours. No matter how livable Abundant Station felt, he could not park his train here indefinitely. Lennon stowed the water bottles and headed upstream, drawing closer to the fine-grade crate's coordinates. 80 meters. 30 meters. At last, the blue navigation line halted before exposed, bulging tree roots belonging to an ancient giant far larger than surrounding trees. Tangled roots rose half-man high, forming crevices. The silver-blue supply crate was wedged deep within one gap. Lennon gripped the crate edge and pulled twice. It would not budge. He activated physical enhancement. Power flooded his limbs. Holding the crate edge with one hand, he braced against the obstructing roots with his other. Crack! A thick root snapped cleanly. The supply crate slid free from the crevice, and he hauled it out single-handed. Lennon deactivated his enhancement, brushed dirt off the crate lid, and checked the player counter. Expected arriving players, 0. Players already on site, 1. No other players had arrived at site 888. An A-rank station with no public intel deterred most newcomers. Even bold players were unlikely to randomly roll this exact site number among countless stations. Lennon lifted the lid, opening fine-grade supply crate. Obtained, mechanical parts times 2. Obtained, iron ingot times 12. Obtained, fine-grade, auto-recycling unit blueprint times 1. Lennon picked up the rolled blueprint. Item details unfolded before him. Fine-grade, auto-recycling unit blueprint. Upon learning, may craft recycling unit inside train furnace. Function, discarded items are fed in, completing 1 recycling cycle every 24 hours. Recycling output, Base materials such as lumber, iron ingots, copper ingots, mechanical parts. Exact yield depends on quantity and type of discarded input materials. Crafting requirements. Lumber times 20, iron ingot times 25, copper ingot times 5, mechanical parts times 2. The auto-recycling unit. Every 24 hours it churned out basic resources. Empty cans, scrap steel, broken tools, throw them inside, and they got broken back down into raw base materials. Individual yields might not be huge, yet it squeezed value out of waste that would otherwise be tossed away. As the train traveled onward, discarded trash would only accumulate. Over time, this unit would deliver a steady stream of resources. Effectively free materials every single day. Sort waste properly, and train upgrades come easy. Lynn unrolled the blueprint and stowed it inside his expansive backpack. Only the rare-grade supply crate remained. It lay over 1,300 meters from the train, 600 meters further from his present location. The blue route crossed the stream and ascended a gentle slope deeper into forest. Lennon hoisted his pack and followed navigation. No monsters appeared, no red hazard markers dotted the map. Only overhanging branches and fallen trunks occasionally blocked his path. 20-odd minutes later, a moss-covered giant boulder came into view. The rare-grade crate was wedged between the boulder and two trees, wrapped tight in vines. Lennon sliced through the vines with his hunting dagger and dragged the crate free. Player statistics still showed no change. Expected arriving players, 0. Players already on site. 1. The purple lid popped open. Opening rare-grade supply crate. Obtained. Iron ingot times 42. Obtained. Copper ingot times 7. Obtained. Mechanical parts times 3. Obtained. Bottled water times 6. Obtained. Fine-grade water tank assembly blueprint times 1. Lennon examined the blueprint. Fine-grade water tank assembly blueprint. Crafting requirements. Iron ingot times 100. Copper ingot times 20. Mechanical parts times 10. Function. Water storage capacity of 500 liters. Installation slot. Train functional slot. Once fitted, the water tank mounts to the top of train carriages. 500 liters. At 3 liters drinking water per person each day, that would sustain one person for half a year. Bathing was not included. In future safe water-rich stations like Plain Sites or Abundance Station, he could stockpile massive water reserves in one go. Lennon stored the blueprint, not lingering on site. Though the map registered no threats, the forest was enormous. His return trip to the train took nearly 40 minutes. Spotting the silver-gray carriage sitting in the woodland clearing, Lennon sat down by the door and took off his expansive backpack. Darn huge map. Putting crates over 1,000 meters away, as if to give me extra exercise. After resting for a short while, he opened the carriage door and hauled his backpack and tools inside the first carriage. His inventory panel unfolded. Lumber times 23. Iron ingot times 65. Copper ingot times 15. Mechanical parts times 7. Bottled water times 14. Food, medicine, and biological materials remained unchanged. He still lacked resources for building the water tank assembly. However, he possessed enough materials for the auto-recycling unit. Lennon held both blueprints against the train core. Learn fine-grade, auto-recycling unit blueprint. Learn. Learn fine-grade water tank assembly blueprint. Learn. Both blueprints dissolved into light particles and merged into the core. 2 new crafting options appeared inside the furnace. Lennon selected the auto-recycling unit. Lumber, iron ingots, copper ingots, and mechanical parts were consumed by the furnace. Crafting consumed. Lumber times 20, iron ingot times 25, copper ingot times 5, mechanical parts times 2. Fine-grade, auto-recycling unit being crafted. Estimated completion time, 3 minutes. After resource deduction, his stockpile was depleted significantly. To build the water tank, he needed 100 iron ingots, 20 copper ingots, and 10 mechanical parts. Right now, he had 40 iron ingots, 10 copper ingots, 5 mechanical parts. He fell short on every required material. Lennon opened the regional channel and searched for lumber purchase posts. He was currently at Abundance Station. Almost every resource could be scarce here, except trees. Food and water ought to be preserved, but lumber could be harvested on demand and traded. Whether chopped down trees regrew remained unknown, but his resource stockpile certainly would. Soon one buy order caught his eye. Willow, trading iron ingots, copper ingots, mechanical parts for lumber. Lennon sent a private chat request. The other player accepted within seconds. Concerned Citizen 007. How much do you need? Willow, lumber times 240. Can you deliver within 6 hours? 240 lumber. Constructing a basic second carriage required 200 lumber. This player was almost certainly preparing their second carriage. Their site had plenty of metal resources, yet insufficient timber. Concerned Citizen 007. I don't have that stock right now. Can you wait? Willow, I can wait. Lennon glanced out the carriage window toward the forest. Abundant Station overflowed with trees. This deal was viable. Concerned Citizen 007. Goods first, payment later? The other side did not reply immediately. A dozen seconds passed before new messages popped up. Willow, only complete, undamaged lumber. No rotten would accept it. Willow, total price. Iron ingot times 130, copper ingot times 20, mechanical parts times 10. Half deposit up front, remaining balance upon delivery. Lennon raised an eyebrow. They had never met, barely exchanged any words. Yet this player was willing to send half payment in advance. It might not stem from trust. More likely they were so desperate for lumber, they were willing to gamble metal resources. Resource mismatch could be as punishing as any monster. A silver-white trade box pinged with a notification. Willow has initiated a trade with you. Offered by other party. Iron ingot times 65, copper ingot times 10, mechanical parts times 5. Your trade items, none. Confirm? Lennon confirmed. Blue light flickered, and materials appeared neatly inside the trade container. The quantities were exact. Added to his existing stock, he now met all crafting requirements for the water tank assembly. Willow, one more warning. Willow, if you are located at a lumber-rich resource site, do not broadcast that fact on public channels. Being capable of delivering bulk lumber is enough for factions or hostile players to target you using track junction devices. Lennon read the message for a couple seconds. The Fire Serpent incident had already shown him what such hostile attention brought. This stranger had no knowledge of his past run-ins, yet offered the warning voluntarily. Concerned Citizen 007 understood. He closed the private chat and did not continue the conversation. Talking about a relationship this early is out of the question. The materials were indeed in hand. The furnace's 3-minute countdown hit 0 right then. High-grade, automatic recycling unit completed. A square piece of equipment about half a person's height rose out of the blue flames. It featured an input slot on the front and a pull-out material compartment underneath. Lennon selected an installation position via the train core. Please choose carriage for installation. First carriage. Second carriage, living quarters. The first one. Blue light spread backward from the locomotive. The half-tall recycling unit locked into place inside the first carriage, looking much like an oversized trash bin. The front took in waste. The bottom spat out processed materials. Automatic recycling unit installation complete. Current status, awaiting input. From now on, empty cans, broken tools, stripped off door fragments, all of it would have a proper place to go. Lennon returned to the furnace and chose to craft a water storage tank. He fed all his newly obtained metal into the blue flames. Crafting consumption, iron ingot times 100, copper ingot times 20, mechanical component times 10. High-grade water storage tank assembly in progress. Estimated time, 10 minutes. His material stockpile was depleted once more. Remaining wood, 3 units. Remaining iron, 5 units. Copper and mechanical components, 0. Still, once the water storage tank finished, the train would gain another long-term function. Spending these materials was well worth it. As for the 220 units of wood he owed, Lennon picked up his lumber axe and pushed open the carriage door. The forest outside remained deathly quiet. He slung the axe over his shoulder and strapped on his expanded capacity backpack. The other side held up their end of the deal. So I can't just skip out on mine. Lennon walked over to the nearest large tree beside the train. Its trunk was so thick 2 people could barely wrap their arms around it. Blue system text popped into view. Gatherable resource, wood. Estimated yield, wood times 46. Other people judged trees by how thick they were. For Lennon, the exact number of resources he would get was displayed in advance. This one will do. Physical enhancement activated, surging power flooding his limbs. Lennon gripped the lumber axe with both hands and swung hard at the trunk. Crack. The axe bit deep into the wood, sending clouds of wood chips flying. Second swing. Third swing. Lennon held back from going all out. His 8-fold physical attributes were formidable, yet his axe was only ordinary grade. If he unleashed his full strength, there was no guarantee the tree would fall, but the axe handle would almost certainly shatter first. Over 3 minutes, the axe struck repeatedly. A deep gash opened across the trunk. In the final dozen seconds, the massive tree began to tilt. Lennon lowered his axe and stepped back several paces. Boom. The crown crashed into underbrush. Dead branches snapped. Leaves swirled everywhere. Obtained. Wood times 46. The fallen trunk instantly broke down into lengths of timber scattered across the ground. Lennon deactivated physical enhancement and started packing the wood away. He used this 1-minute window to gather his harvest. 46 units of wood weighed 46 gene total. Stored inside his expanded capacity backpack. Only half the weight counted toward his load, 23 gene. Hardly any strain at all. The moment he stuffed the last log into his pack, his ability cooldown finished. Lennon headed for the second tree. Estimated yield, wood times 39. Back to work. Physical enhancement flared to life again, and the axe came down once more. 3 minutes felling trees. 1 minute collecting timber, relocating, waiting for cooldowns. No time wasted, no idle ability windows. His efficiency rivaled that of a lumberjack with 8-fold strength, no pay, no benefits, and who had to repair his own axe after every work-related injury. The second tree toppled. Obtained, wood times 39. The third was slightly slimmer. Obtained, wood times 28. After felling 3 trees, his expanded capacity backpack held 113 units of wood. Lennon glanced at his axe. Ordinary grade lumber axe. Current durability, 9%. The blade was bent, and several cracks spiderwebbed across the wooden handle. One more tree, and the axe would most likely give out completely. Lennon headed back toward the train with his load of timber. By this point, the furnace countdown had reached 0. High-grade, water storage tank assembly completed. A silver-gray component marked with a water drop symbol hovered above the blue flames. Lennon slotted it into the functional socket beneath the train core. The assembly clicked firmly into place. Click. High-grade water storage tank assembly detected. Commencing fitting. Metallic clanking echoed from the top of the carriage. A dozen seconds later, a flat tank was secured to the roof of the first carriage. Multiple metal pipes ran down from it into the interior. Water storage tank installation complete. Current stored water, 0.05 liters. Train functional modules, 1/3. A 500-liter storage capacity. From now on, whenever he found safe water sources, he would no longer need to ferry glass bottles back and forth. Other people fetched water bottle by bottle. He intended to take it in 100-liter batches. Lennon tossed the worn lumber axe into the furnace. Repair, ordinary grade lumber axe. Consumption, wood times 2, iron ingot times 2. Estimated time, 30 seconds. Blue fire washed over the axe. The bent blade smoothed out, and cracks on the handle sealed shut. Repair complete. Current durability, 100%. Shouldering the restored axe, Lennon went back into the forest for another round. On his second trip, he targeted only large trees marked by his navigation. First tree, 58 units. Second tree, 44 units. Third tree, 31 units. Obtained, wood times 133. His expanded capacity backpack grew heavier, and axe durability dropped to 7%. Lennon returned to the train and fed the axe into the furnace for a second repair. Repair consumption, wood times 2, iron ingot times 2. 30 seconds later, durability was restored to maximum once again. Total wood in his inventory stood at 245 units. He had more than enough to fulfill his order. Lennon opened his private communication channel with Lu Mu. Concerned Citizen 007. Wood is ready. The reply came almost instantly. Lu Mu. 240 units? Concerned Citizen 007. Short me even one piece, and you can dismantle my train to make up for it. A silver-white trade crate lit up with blue light. Lennon placed 240 units of wood inside. On the opposite side, his trading partner deposited the remaining balance payment. Offered by counterparty. Iron ingot times 65, copper ingot times 10, mechanical component times 5. Confirm trade? Confirm. Blue light swept across the crate. The 240 units of wood vanished. A pile of metal materials appeared neatly inside instead. Trade completed. Lu Mu, quantity checks out. Lu Mu, if you have more wood later, come to me. Concerned Citizen 007. Depends on your price. Lin enclosed the private channel. 2 rounds of logging. After deducting materials spent repairing his axe, he had not only finished his contract but also earned 5 iron ingots, 10 copper ingots, and 5 mechanical components. These resources would let him craft new tools and stockpile supplies for the next carriage. When Fire Snake had showed up with an entire train, the total materials he had contributed were less than what Lin had earned felling a few trees and selling timber. Robbery sure sounded lucrative, provided you did not end up delivering yourself straight into your enemy's hands. The contract was fulfilled, yet the train's energy was still not fully charged. Lin refused to idle. Fengrao Station was safely accessible for the time being. He was not going to stand beside the train waiting for charging to finish when he could gather more wood. He picked up his newly repaired axe and headed into the forest for the 3rd time. No urgent contract pushed him this time. Lennon picked out a large tree projected to yield 52 units of wood. He activated physical enhancement. 3 minutes later, the giant tree crashed down. Obtained, wood times 52. Lumber axe remaining durability, 66%. Lin stowed the timber in his backpack and set off to find his next target. After walking several dozen meters, he halted abruptly. Amid several tall surrounding trees grew an unusually short plant. It stood just over 5 meters tall, with dark red, hued bark and sparse leaves. 3 fist-sized crimson fruits hung from its crown. All the nearby large trees leaned outward, as if intentionally making space for it. Blue navigational information unfolded. Resource coordinate, 27 meters ahead. Special resource, crimson marrow fruit times 3. Hidden resource, crimson marrow tree seed times 1. Danger level, none. Lin walked beneath the tree. The 3 red fruits sat atop its crown. What truly caught his eye, however, was the center of the trunk. Beneath the dark red bark, the outline of a thumb-sized seed was visible, tightly encased within layers of wood. To retrieve it, he would need to split open the trunk. Lin glanced down at his axe. Remaining durability, 66%. Should hold up. He gripped the handle firmly and activated physical enhancement. His first blow landed. Clang. The sound was nothing like cutting wood. It rang as though he had struck a steel plate. The axe only bit half an inch deep, yet durability plummeted by 3% immediately. Lin stared at the dark red bark. What on earth is this tree growing out of? Iron or dust mixed with concrete? He readjusted his angle and swung again. Once, twice, 10 times. The gash widened agonizingly slowly, while axe durability drained rapidly. 3 minutes passed, and he had barely cut halfway through the trunk. Lin paused. Lumber axe remaining durability, 31%. His 1-minute cooldown elapsed. Physical enhancement reactivated. The axe hammered repeatedly into the same split. 20%, 11%, 3%. At long last, the dark, red trunk wobbled. Only a thin strand of wood fiber still held it together. Lumber axe remaining durability, 1%. Lin delivered one final mighty swing. Crack. The trunk snapped cleanly. At that exact moment, the axe blade shattered into 3 pieces. The small crimson, bark tree toppled into the grass. Its 3 fruits rolled off the branches onto the ground. From the broken center of the trunk fell a seed etched all over with fine golden veins. Obtained, crimson marrow fruit times 3. Obtained, crimson marrow tree seed times 1. Ordinary, grade lumber axe destroyed. Lin looked at the broken wooden handle left in his grasp. This time it was not the axe choosing to quit. The strange tree had forced it out of service entirely. Lin picked up the seed. Crimson marrow tree seed. Status, dormant. Growth conditions, moist soil. 7 days to germinate, 7 days to bear fruit, 7 days to fully ripen. He stored the seed in his backpack and lifted one of the red fruits. High, grade special fruit, crimson marrow fruit. Consumption effect, select one ability below A, rank. Gain 100 proficiency points for it. No effect on S, rank and higher abilities. Lin spotted the key detail. Proficiency points. He pulled up his personal stat panel and expanded his ability details. C, rank physical enhancement, proficiency, 865/1000. S, rank full, map station navigation, proficiency, 1256/10000000. Every time he used an ability, its proficiency rose, though the system normally did not notify him of it. Lin stared at the massive number for the S, rank skill. AC, rank ability only needed 1,000 points to level up. An S, rank required 1 million. Lin bit into the crimson marrow fruit. Its flesh tasted faintly tart and contained no pit. He ate it in several bites. C, rank physical enhancement proficiency, plus 100. Current proficiency, 965 out of 1,000. Only 35 points remained. Lin's gaze fell onto the second crimson marrow fruit. Still a little short? Then I'll eat another. He bit open the second fruit. C, rank physical enhancement proficiency, plus 100. Proficiency cap reached. Ability upgrade. C, rank B, rank. C, rank physical enhancement proficiency cap reached. Ability upgrade. C, rank B, rank. Lin's blue interface refreshed. B, rank physical enhancement. Effect. Overall physical capability raised to 20 times baseline human levels. Specific bonuses, strength, speed, damage resistance. Duration, 5 minutes. Cooldown, 60 seconds after ability deactivation. 20-fold enhancement. Lin rotated his wrists and flexed his fingers. His knuckles popped softly, jumping from 8-fold to 20-fold. Duration extended from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, yet cooldown stayed at 1 minute. Better performance without higher cost. This upgrade is actually pretty reasonable. Lennon glanced toward a nearby large tree, raised his fist, then slowly lowered it again. 20 times damage resistance did not make him invincible. If he punched the tree, there was no telling how much harm it would take, but his wrist would certainly bear the full force of the recoil. Testing a new ability was no reason to give himself a bone injury. Lennon activated B-Rank Physical Enhancement with a thought. Tremendous power flooded his limbs. Rotten leaf litter scattered outward beneath his feet, and damp soil under his boots sank slightly under his weight. He walked over to the fallen crimson marrow tree, hooked one hand under its broken trunk, and lifted. The several hundred gene tree cleared the ground effortlessly. Branches brushed through underbrush, dirt showered down. With a flick of his arm, Lennon hurled the whole trunk aside. Boom! The trunk crashed into thickets, and the ground shook faintly. Lennon stared at his own hands. Firesnake C-Rank enhancement was only good for occasional door smashing work. This new B-Rank enhancement meant he could theoretically take on car dismantling jobs on the side. He deactivated the ability voluntarily and reopened his personal stats. S-Rank Full, Map Station Navigation, Proficiency, 1389/1000000. B-Rank Physical Enhancement, Proficiency, 65/80,000. 80,000 points. Where C-Rank only needed 1,000. B-Rank demanded 80 times as many. Each rank up gets more absurd. Lennon picked up the last remaining crimson marrow fruit off the grass. One fruit granted a mere 100 proficiency points. To hit 80,000 would take 800 fruits. Even under the best-case scenario, where the mature crimson marrow tree reliably produced 3 fruits every 7 days, relying solely on this single tree to max out proficiency would take many years. 100 points against 80,000 was comparable to trying to fill a swimming pool using water from a plastic bottle. Lennon decided not to consume the last fruit. I'll save it for later. He stored the final fruit, the crimson marrow tree seed, and the broken axe handle in his expanded capacity backpack, and headed back for the train. More than 10 minutes later, the train side door slid open. Inside the first carriage, 3 storage crates stood neatly against the wall. The high-grade automatic recycling unit sat fixed in the corner, its input slot wide open like a metal bin waiting to be filled. Lennon pulled out the last crimson marrow fruit from his pack. Its red skin still glistened faintly. Stepping up to the recycling unit, he tossed the fruit straight inside. Detectable recyclable item detected. High-grade crimson marrow fruit, ×1. High-grade special item detected. Recycling sequence initiated. Estimated recycling duration, 24 hours. Remaining time, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Expected output, unknown. A low mechanical hum came from inside the machine, and the crimson marrow fruit vanished past the input opening. Lennon raised an eyebrow. It really will take special items? He closed the input hatch and turned away, walking toward the furnace. His ordinary, grade lumber axe was completely destroyed. No repair option would even light up for it. He could not simply leave the crimson marrow tree seed lying loose on the carriage floor. Lennon scrolled through the basic crafting menu and located what he needed. Ordinary, grade wooden barrel. Crafting requirements. Wood ×8. Iron ingot ×1. Estimated crafting time, 10 seconds. Craft it. Blue flames swallowed the required materials. 10 seconds afterward, a barrel roughly half a person's height dropped out of the furnace. Lennon carried the barrel outside, found a patch of soft, damp soil nearby, knelt down, and filled the barrel with earth. He hauled the soil-filled barrel back into the first carriage and set it beside the 3 storage crates. Inside the carriage sat a barrel full of dirt. It hardly looked like a potted plant. It looked more like something meant for pickling vegetables. Lennon dug a hollow in the center of the soil, buried the seed marked with gold, red veins inside, and pressed the dirt firmly down. Crimson marrow tree seed. Status, dormant. Current environment, moist soil. Missing condition, water supply. A moment later the status updated again. Status, awaiting irrigation. He had soil. He had the water storage tank. Unfortunately, his brand new tank was still completely empty. Lennon walked to the locomotive and opened the water storage tank details panel. Current stored water, 0.05 liters. Water intake hose. Extendable, maximum length 200 meters. Water discharge hose. Extendable, maximum length 20 meters. Function options, pump water/release water. Pump function, automatically draws water once intake hose is submerged in a water source. A 500-liter tank with a 200-meter-long intake hose. Whoever designed this system clearly knew what hauling water was like. Lennon pulled up his navigation map. The stream he had found earlier lay farther than 200 meters from the train, out of the hose's reach. The blue navigational lines traced the waterway toward the other side of the clearing and marked a closer source. Resource coordinate, stream tributary. Distance, 176 meters. Danger level, none. Perfectly within the maximum range of the intake hose. Lennon unlocked the water intake port on top of the first carriage. A coiled black hose unspooled automatically, ending in a metal intake head. He slung the hose over his shoulder and trudged into the woods, the pipe trailing out behind him. 10 minutes of navigating past bushes and tree roots brought him to a clear, flowing tributary. The current was gentle. Pebbles and waterweed on the riverbed were plainly visible. Lennon lowered the metal intake head beneath the water surface. Usable water source detected. Begin pumping? Begin. The hose vibrated softly as clear stream water was steadily drawn into the train's water storage tank. Water pumping in progress. Current stored water, 3 500 liters. Current stored water, 17 500 liters. Numbers climbed continuously. 50 liters. 100 liters. 5 minutes in, stored volume exceeded 200 liters. Lennon checked the intake head, confirming no large masses of weeds or silt were clogging it. 12 minutes later, the counter hit 500. Current stored water, 500 liters. Water, storage tank full. Pumping halted. Lennon pulled the intake head out of the stream and retraced his path toward the train. The hose reel wound the pipe back in automatically. By the time he reached the train, the last section of intake hose had retracted completely into the roof assembly. Lennon checked the tank status once more. Current stored water, 500 liters. Source water status, untreated. Water quality, not safe for direct drinking. He now had 500 liters of water. Yet only a handful of water purification tablets remained. Tablets designed for treating individual bottles could never handle such a large volume of stored water. No drinking for now. Untreated water was still useful for other purposes. Back inside the first carriage, Lennon pulled out the discharge hose connected beneath the tank and aimed its opening at the dirt-filled wooden barrel. He opened the release valve. Clear water streamed down the hose into the barrel. Water released this time, 2 liters. Moist soil soaked up the water. Beneath the dirt, the buried crimson marrow tree seed trembled faintly, its gold-red outer markings glowing bright. Crimson marrow tree seed. Status, growing. Time until germination. 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Its countdown began ticking forward. Lennon shut off the water outlet and stowed the hose away. It sprouts in 7 days, bears fruit in another 7, and ripens 7 days after that. He stared at the damp soil inside the wooden barrel. 21 days from now, this bucket of soil had better deliver unlimited fruit for me. So long as the crimson marrow tree could grow normally aboard the train, he would harvest 3 more fruits in 21 days. Others improved their abilities by venturing into dangerous stations to hunt for rare resources. He planned to grow experience right inside his carriage. Bedroom, water tank, potted plants. The survival train's renovation is turning more and more into a mobile single-person apartment. The tree seed had already been planted. The train's energy continued to recharge slowly. Outside the abundant station, trees stretched everywhere. To leave now would be like walking into a buffet restaurant, taking only one bite, and voluntarily paying the bill to leave. Lennon glanced at the logging axe leaning against the wall, its wooden handle broken halfway. The problem was that he had no proper tools left. Even a 20-fold physical enhancement would not let him chop down large trees with his bare fists. Ordinary, great axes wore out far too quickly. He really needed a higher quality blueprint. With a blueprint, he could craft replacements over and over. When one axe broke, he could simply make another. Lennon opened the regional channel and searched for axes, tools, and blueprints. Quite a few players were putting out buy orders for logging tools. Not a single person was selling a logging axe blueprint. He refrained from posting an open by request. Public trade listings would draw unwanted attention. Leaning against the carriage door, Lennon opened Lu Mu's private chat. This person had just bought 240 units of lumber from him and was clearly expanding his own carriage. Lu Mu regularly kept stocks of iron ingots, copper ingots, and mechanical components. He might have looted repair depots and mined chests, or held extra tool blueprints. Concerned Citizen 007, you there? A few seconds passed before a reply came through. Lu Mu, what is it? Concerned Citizen 007, I'm buying a logging axe blueprint. Got one. There was a pause of more than 10 seconds on the other end. Lumu, yes. Lumu, high grade, 1 extra copy. Lumu, 120 units of lumber. It's yours if you want it. 120 units of lumber. That was no small price. Still, high grade tools boasted far greater durability than ordinary grade ones, and the blueprint could be reused for repeated crafting. As long as enough trees grew around Abundance Station, the cost would quickly earn itself back. Lennon checked his current inventory. Lumber times 49. 70, 1 unit short. He needed lumber to buy the axe blueprint, yet he needed an axe to cut lumber. A perfect closed-loop business predicament had formed on the spot. Lennon was about to ask Lu Mu to display the item details when a screenshot popped up first. In the image, a hand held a rolled-up blueprint. Text at the edge and top of the screenshot read clearly, high-grade logging axe blueprint. The blueprint itself looked genuine. Yet Lennon's gaze drifted away from the blueprint and fixed on the hand in the picture. Slender fingers, fair skin, hardly exposed to sunlight. Neatly trimmed fingernails, not a speck of dirt beneath them. Lennon zoomed in slightly on the screenshot. He stared at that hand for 2 seconds. This hand, Lennon frowned. How come this guy has such delicate-looking hands? Lennon stared at the hand in the screenshot for 2 seconds. How come this guy's hands look so refined? Slender fingers, fair skin, neatly trimmed nails. Plenty of men had delicate-looking hands, and plenty of robbers looked harmless. Lennon stopped speculating and sent another message. Concerned Citizen 007. I'll take the blueprint. Lu Mu, 120 units of lumber. Lennon glanced over his inventory again. Lumber times 49. 49 units. Not nearly enough to cover even part of the price. Concerned Citizen 007. I'll send 40 now. Concerned Citizen 007. The remaining 80 will be delivered tonight. Silence lingered for a moment on the other side. Lu Mu, what guarantee do I have? Concerned Citizen 007. None. Concerned Citizen 007. You can choose not to sell if you don't trust it. His tone was less than polite, but Lennon had no intention of writing a virtual IOU for a stranger, let alone offering his station information as collateral. A whole forest waited right outside the carriage. Once he had the axe in hand, those 80 units of lumber would barely count as a final payment. Hardly more than a startup fee. More than 10 seconds later, the trade box flickered blue. Lu Mu has initiated a trade with you. Offered by counterpart. High-grade logging axe blueprint times 1. Your trade item, lumber times 40. Lu Mu was willing to take the risk. Lennon tapped confirm. 40 units of lumber vanished, and a rolled-up blueprint dropped into the trade box. High-grade logging axe blueprint. Crafting requirements. Lumber times 8. Iron ingot times 6. Finished product durability, 100%. Trait. Increased logging efficiency, reduced durability loss. Lennon picked up the blueprint and pressed it against the train core. A wash of blue light swept across it. The blueprint dissolved into light particles merging into the core, and a new crafting option appeared in the smelter. 8 units of lumber, 6 iron ingots. Confirm craft. Blue flames flared up. 10 seconds later, a long-handled axe clattered out of the fire. Its handle was dark brown and felt slightly coarse in the grip. The axe head was noticeably broader than an ordinary logging axe. Its edge thin and smooth. High-grade logging axe. Durability, 100%. Lennon hefted it and swung it twice. Good weight, comfortable in his hands. Compared to his old, ordinary axe, which retired after felling merely 3 trees, this was a proper professional-grade tool. Your predecessor called it quits after 3 trees. Try to stick around until I get rich. Lennon slung on his expanded capacity backpack, grabbed the axe, and stepped out of the train once more. Darkness had fallen over the forest. Tree shadows pressed down across the ground, and thick underbrush obscured most paths. Yet his blue navigation route remained crystal clear, preemptively winding around every tree root, mud pit, and obstacle. Lennon soon halted before a large, thick-trunked tree. Gatherable resource, lumber. Estimated yield, lumber times 73. You'll do. B-tier physical enhancement activated. Power surged from his torso into his shoulders and arms. Gripping the axe handle with both hands, Lennon brought it crashing down. Crack. The axe bit nearly halfway through the trunk. Shards of wood flew outward. Second swing. Third swing. With every blow, the gash in the trunk widened. In less than 2 minutes, the huge tree began to tilt forward. Lennon pulled his axe free and stepped backward. Boom. The crown crashed into the underbrush, the crash of branches echoing far through the woods. Obtained. Lumber times 73. Lennon checked his axe. High-grade logging axe. Current durability, 94%. An ordinary grade axe would have been on its last legs after felling 3 trees. This high-grade axe had only lost 6% durability, felling one single tree. The difference was staggering. Lennon deactivated his enhancement and bent to stow the lumber piece by piece inside his expanded capacity backpack. 73 units of lumber went into the bag, whose special property have the effective carried weight. Though the enhancement had worn off, the backpack resting on his shoulders did not drag him down heavily. As he walked a few steps, Lennon glanced at his own arms. After advancing to B tier, it was not only his enhanced state strength that reached 20-fold. Level-ups and repeated use of his strength-type ability were slowly improving his baseline physical condition. The change was nowhere near as dramatic as the boosted state, yet his shoulders and back felt steadier, his breathing smoother, and his steps lighter even under load. The improvement was subtle, but very real. After leveling up, even hauling timber feels more professional. He carried the lumber back toward the train. He did not immediately resume felling trees. From the 73 units he had just harvested, he took out 24 units of lumber and added 18 iron ingots. Blue fire ignited repeatedly. 3 more high-grade logging axes dropped out of the smelter one after another. Together with the one in his hand, he now owned 4 in total. 1 stayed in his hands, 2 went into the expanded capacity backpack, and the last one was stored in the first carriage as a spare. Lennon never skimped on tools that generated consistent profit. If a tool broke, work halted. Halted work meant lost resources. With endless trees right outside, he would not let worn-out axes become his bottleneck. Before long, the sharp sound of axes biting into tree trunks echoed through the forest again. Crack, crack. 1 tree, 2 trees, 5 trees. His B-tier physical enhancement lasted 5 minutes. While active, Lennon focused entirely on chopping trees. When the enhancement expired, he gathered lumber, relocated, drank water, and waited 1 minute for the cooldown to finish. Once ready, he resumed work. Thinner trees yielded 20-plus units of lumber. Large ancient trees generally gave 50 units or more. Occasionally, an exceptionally massive tree would drop more than 70 units. High-grade logging axes boasted outstanding durability. 1 axe could chop down 8 or 9 trees before needing replacement. Lennon did not stuff every piece of lumber into his backpack. It only held 2 cubic meters. Once it filled to a certain point, he returned to the train to unload lumber into the first carriage, then headed back out with an empty bag. 1 trip, 2 trips, dozens of trips. By the time night settled completely, Lennon had lost count of how many times he had come and gone. The last large tree toppled. Boom. Obtained. Lumber times 58. Lennon sat down against the tree stump and unscrewed his water bottle for a drink. His arms ached, and his shoulders felt heavy. B-tier physical enhancement multiplied bodily performance 20-fold, yet it did not erase fatigue. He still grew tired. Nevertheless, his working efficiency had leaped from that of an ordinary lumberjack to an entire logging crew. After a short rest, Lennon stowed the final batch of lumber in his expanded capacity backpack. His silver-gray train waited in a nearby forest clearing. He trundled back with his load, opened the carriage door, and unloaded everything into the first carriage. Click. The door locked shut. Confirming he was safely inside the train, Lennon pulled up his inventory panel. Current lumber times 1624. Lennon did a quick mental tally. In this single work session, he had felled trees for 1,647 units of lumber. Counting 1 unit as 1 gene, the total weight exceeded 800 kilograms. In the past, that much material would have blocked up the whole first carriage. Now most of the lumber was stacked neatly along both sides. Space was tight, but he could still move through normally. More than 1,600 units of lumber. The 80-unit remaining payment was a trivial fraction of that stock. Lennon immediately reopened his private chat with Lu Mu. Concerned Citizen 007, sending the remainder. The trade box lit up blue. 80 units of lumber went inside. Lu Mu confirmed without extra chatter. Trade complete. Lu Mu pretty fast. Concerned Citizen 007. So. Lu Mu. If you have more lumber later, Lin, and close the private chat directly. The transaction was done, the debt settled. Further conversation risked turning business into personal ties. In these survival trains, personal connections often had a shorter shelf life than mutton. Lennon returned his gaze to the inventory. Lumber times 1544. The 4-digit stockpile looked reassuring. His food container told a less comforting story. Lennon lifted its lid. Only 3 portions of mutton and 3 packs of compressed biscuits remained. All canned meat was long gone. Hardly any water purification tablets were left. He had already eaten several portions of mutton during the day's logging to replenish energy. His lumber stock kept growing, yet his food dwindled. Lumber built carriages, repaired the train, and could be traded away. The only catch, it could not fill an empty stomach, unless his teeth also upgraded to B tier alongside his physique. Lennon considered trading lumber for food, but his finger hovered over the regional channel button before pulling back. Back when he sold water and meat, he had never softened his prices. "You can starve while you wait. I'm in no hurry." He had said lines like that himself. Now that he needed to buy food, sellers in the channel would show him no mercy. The wheel of fortune turned. Still, his remaining supplies could sustain him for a while. He saw no reason to rush and overpay. Lennon took out one portion of mutton, grabbed his hunting dagger, and exited the train. Near the train lay an open space ringed with rubble. He shaved off dry wood shavings and gathered twigs and sticks. Twist drill rotation. Friction. Fine wood shavings gradually turned black. More than 10 minutes later, a tiny spark flared to life. Lennon leaned forward and blew gently. Whoosh. Flames sprouted among the shavings. The smelter can build train parts, yet it cannot roast a piece of meat. I still have to make fire by hand. Whoever designed this survival system clearly never hired a cook. Lennon sharpened a branch, skewered the mutton, and held it over the fire. Rotating it slowly, grease dripped into the flames, and the fire licked the meat with faint crackling sounds. No salt, no seasonings. One edge was even slightly charred. Still, Lennon ate every bite. In a survival scenario, flavor was merely a bonus. Being able to fill your belly counted as good enough. When he finished eating, he buried the fire completely. He went back to the train for fresh clothes and his blacktooth dagger. A blue map unfolded in his field of view. Resource coordinate, shallow pool. Distance, 126 meters. Danger level, none. Lennon followed the navigation through the trees. 100+ meters away lay a rock-ringed shallow pool beneath dim skies. No red threat markers dotted the surroundings. After checking his surroundings carefully, Lennon stripped off his sweat-soaked, sawdust-covered clothes and stepped into the water. Cool water rose over his shoulders, washing away the sweat and sawdust accumulated through a full day of labor. Leaning against a stone at the pool's edge, Lennon opened the regional channel. The nighttime channel was quieter than daytime, with only scattered trade, team-up, and distress messages scrolling past. Suddenly, a flurry of messages popped up. Player number 7631 Hippo. Where are the Raven members? Player number 7631 Hippo. You promised you'd let me go if I just peeked inside the steer station and reported whether monsters were there. Raven Guildfinch. Nothing's inside the station for now. Why the rush? Player number 7631 Hippo. Nothing for now? Player number 7631 Hippo. I photographed 2 crates. At minimum rare grade. A screenshot was dumped into the regional channel. It showed dark gray rock walls crisscrossed by cracks glowing deep red from below. Further in, 2 purple glowing supply crates rested against the rock. No monsters appeared in the screenshot. No living creatures at all. Channel users quickly asked for the station ID. Without hesitation, Hippo shared the station data. Player number 7631 Hippo has shared. Station 9316, Steer. Info none. Station name, Lava Rift. Ordinary players only saw that much. Beneath the shared card, lines of blue text visible only to Lynn and unfolded. Navigation data, 9316, Steer Lava Rift. Danger type, Steer Flame Lizard ×1. Resource coordinates, Legendary grade supply, crate ×1. Rare grade supply, crate ×2. Expected arrivals, 1. Already arrived, 1. Lynn and eyes locked onto the resource data. Hippo's screenshot had only captured the 2 rare grade crates. The legendary grade crate was out of frame. So was the Steer Flame Lizard guarding the station. It was not that nothing existed in the station. The monster simply had not come for him yet. Raven Guildfinch, stay by the crates. Our people are already en route. The instant this message appeared, the blue numbers updated. Expected arrivals, 17. 6 more players. Raven had dispatched 6 guild members. Lennon stood up from the pool and grabbed his towel from the bank. 6 people. A guild group outing at an Steer Lizard's lair. Quite the hardcore activity plan. More messages from Hippo appeared in the regional channel. Player number 7631 Hippo. Your people are on their way? Raven Guildfinch. Don't try anything stupid. The channel fell quiet for a short while. More than 10 seconds later, Hippo sent 3 consecutive messages. Player number 7631 Hippo. Ha, Raven. Player number 7631 Hippo. Your reinforcements should be arriving soon, right? Player number 7631 Hippo. Damn it, come share this disaster with me. Raven Guildfinch, deceased. Raven Guild Longbeak, deceased. Raven Guild Nightfeather, deceased. Player number 7631 Hippo, deceased. World Channel death announcements flashed by one after another. In less than a minute, all 7 people who had entered Station 9316 Lava Rift appeared on the death list. The regional channel went silent for several seconds. Then a new message popped up. Raven Guild Guildmaster Raven, Blacksnake. Station 9316 holds and steer Flame Lizard. Raven's team is wiped out. Request your intervention. Blacksnake Guild Guildmaster Blacksnake. Is that an order, or are you begging me? Raven did not reply right away. Death notifications kept scrolling across the world channel. More than 10 seconds passed before he responded again. Raven Guild Guildmaster Raven, I beg you. Blacksnake Guild Guildmaster Blacksnake, why should I help? Raven Guild Guildmaster Raven. The Raven Guild will become a subordinate of the Blacksnake Guild. Our member rosters, resource vaults, and station intelligence will all be open to you. Blacksnake replied quickly this time. Blacksnake Guild Guildmaster Blacksnake, agreed. Blacksnake Guild Guildmaster Blacksnake. Have your people hand over permissions and intelligence to my operatives. I will handle Station 9316. All 6 Raven members sent to the rift were dead. What Raven begged Blacksnake to save was no longer lives, but the remaining trains, resources, and those unopened supply crates. Lennon read the exchange and closed the channel. 7 players went on a guild outing to Ensteer Station. Nobody came back alive, and their guild got acquired instead. That's how this world works. People die faster than guilds get bought out. He climbed out of the shallow pool, dried himself, dressed, and followed the navigation back to his train. The silver-gray train sat in the forest clearing. No foreign tracks showed nearby, and no red markers appeared on the map. Lennon opened the door, stepped into the first carriage, and locked the outer door firmly behind him. Train outer door, locked. Front compartment partition, locked. Train core authority, car owner only. His full map navigation warned of incoming tracks, shifting player counts, and aggressive creatures ahead of time. Ability or no ability, habits mattered. Waiting for danger to press right up against you before locking doors was tantamount to testing door lock durability with your life. After checking the train, Lennon returned to his bedroom. His black-toothed dagger rested on the bedside. Curtains were drawn tight. Ceiling lights dimmed. He slept straight through until the next day. When he woke, Lennon walked through the first carriage toward the locomotive. The train core glowed steady blue. Current train energy, 81%. Estimated time to full charge 100%, 13 hours 40 minutes. His daily station refresh count had reset. Daily refresh count, 1/1. Refresh. Blue light washed over the core. Yesterday's 4 station listings vanished, replaced by new options. Station 1742, D tier. Info, underground salt cavern. Signs of biological activity detected. Navigation data, 1742, D tier salt cavern station. Danger type, D tier salt beetle times 23. Resources, ordinary grade supply, crate times 1. Expected arrivals, 62, already arrived, 11. The second entry followed immediately. Station 3695, B tier. Info, marshland. Toxic gas present. Navigation info, Station 3695, Grade B rot marsh station. Hazard type, Grade B rot toxic fog, graded mud lizard swarm. Expected arrivals, 7. Arrived, 2. The third station card unfolded. Station 4444, grades, info, none. Blue navigation markers popped into view. Navigation info, Station 4444, grades homecoming station. Hidden space available. Resource info, legendary resource crate times 1, rare resource crate times 2, high grade supply crate times 2 opened, common grade supply crate times 2 opened. Hazard type, other train conductors present. Expected arrivals, 0. Arrived, 2. Arrival energy cost, 100%. Lennon read through every line. No monsters, no traps, no extreme environmental hazards. Only one hazard entry stood out. Other train conductors present. The 2 conductors already on site had clearly looted the 2 common grade and 2 high-grade supply crates. 3 high-quality crates remained. Among them was 1 legendary resource crate. An S-grade station with no monsters listed. Lennon tapped the edge of his core unit twice. Is a single legendary resource crate enough to push this station to S-grade? Or is that hidden space even more valuable than the crates? The navigation only displayed raw data. It offered no further explanations. It showed nothing about the abilities, current actions, or exact locations of the 2 conductors who had already arrived. The final station lit up. Station 7208, Grade A, info, none. Navigation info, Station 7208, Grade A mirror corridor station. Hazard type, Grade A Mimic Beast times 2. Resources, Rare Grade Supply, Crate times 1. Expected arrivals, 4, arrived, 0, 4 options in total. The first had many people but scant resources. The second was plagued by toxic fog and monsters. The fourth housed 2 Grade A Mimic Beasts. Only the third held no monsters, plus a legendary resource crate and 2 rare grade resource crates. As for the 2 conductors already present, other players were indeed more troublesome than monsters. But players bled when hurt. Lennon did not depart immediately. Current energy sat at 81%. Departing for a designated station or one from the random list consumed 100% energy. 19% remained to be filled. He pulled up the train inventory and began tallying his supplies. Train rank, grade, D. Train components, locomotive times 1, boarding carriage times 1, sleeping carriage times 1. Basic building materials, lumber times 1544, iron ingot times 41, copper ingot times 10, mechanical parts times 5. Energy supplies, low, grade fuel block times 12. Food, raw mutton times 2, hardtack times 3. Water supplies, bottled water times 5, water purification tablet times 2, water tank, 498, L, untreated water source. Medical supplies, common, grade hemostatic bandage times 1, common, grade painkiller times 15. Biological materials, intact black horn times 8, beast tendon times 4. Weapons tools, high, grade hunting dagger times 1, rare, grade blacktooth dagger times 1, common, grade breaching hammer times 1, high, grade lumber axe times 1. Containers, common, grade storage, crate times 3. Equipment special items, mythic, grade fool's mask worn, high, grade expanded backpack times 1, rare, grade forced rail, merger device times 1 uses left, 1/5. On, board crops, crimson, marrow sapling times 1 status, growing. Train functions, common, grade sleeping quarters module times 1, high, grade water tank module times 1, high, grade auto, retrieval device times 1. Auto retrieval quest, high, grade crimson, marrow fruit times 1. Time remaining until retrieval, for hours 17 minutes and 26 seconds. Food stocks were modest. Building materials, however, were abundant. More than 1,500 units of lumber could be used for upgrades, trades, or tossed into the furnace for emergency energy. Even if his energy hit 0 upon arriving at station 4444, he still possessed the means for an emergency escape. Lennon took out the 12 low-grade fuel blocks and fed them into the furnace. He also tossed in his broken ordinary lumber axe and common, grade breaching hammer. Select function, train energy recharge. Blue flames flared to life. Current energy, 81%, 95%. Lennon added 14 more units of lumber to the furnace. Flames washed over the furnace walls once again. Current energy, 95%, 100%. Train energy fully charged. The inventory updated synchronously. Lumber times 1530. Low, grade fuel block times 0. Broken common, grade lumber axe times 0. Common, grade breaching hammer times 0. Lennon closed the inventory screen and reviewed the 4 station entries once more. Station 4444. Grade S Homecoming Station. 2 conductors already on site. 1 legendary resource crate. 2 rare, grade resource crates. Plus a hidden space significant enough to affect the station's rating. No monsters, top tier rewards. Not heading for this station would feel like disrespecting the navigation. Lennon tapped the 3rd station card. Target station, station 4444. Station rank, grade S. Energy cost for departure, 100%. Residual energy upon arrival, 0%. Confirm departure? Lennon pressed confirm. Target station confirmed. Station 4444. Establishing rail connection. Next stop, station 4444. Please hold on tight. Steel wheels bit down onto the rails. The silver, gray train plunged into gray mist and entered a dim tunnel, the forests of abundant station vanishing behind the windows. Destination, station 4444. Estimated travel time, 9 minutes and 46 seconds. Train doors locked during transit. Lennon walked to the first carriage and opened his storage crate. 2 other people waited at station 4444. 1 legendary, grade, and 2 rare, grade crates represented great resources, yet the human threat was real. Players capable of reaching high rank stations mere days after entering the game were no ordinary survivors hiding inside carriages sending desperate distress messages. Lennon picked up his blacktooth dagger and glanced over his remaining materials. 1 blade could kill. 2 reduced the chance of mishaps. Rare, grade blacktooth dagger. Crafting requirements. Iron ingot times 20, intact black horn times 2, beast tendon times 1. Craft. Materials dropped into the furnace. Blue fire ignited, and the crafting countdown ticked forward. Estimated crafting time, 30 minutes. Lennon checked the arrival time. 9 minutes remained. The furnace could keep working after arrival, but waiting 30 minutes to step outside would almost certainly leave nothing but dust of those 3 crates. He opened the acceleration option. Input combustible materials to shorten crafting time. Lennon tossed 30 units of lumber into the furnace one after another. Flames surged violently higher. Lumber times 30 consumed. Remaining crafting time, 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Lennon had little else in surplus, but lumber was plentiful. Weapons can wait a little. The crates cannot. 5 minutes later, the blue flames contracted inward. An all-black short blade clattered out from the furnace. Rare, grade blacktooth dagger. Sharpness, extremely high. Trait, lacerate. Wounds inflicted by this weapon heal at a reduced rate. 2 blacktooth daggers lay side by side on the table, identical in shape, length, and weight. Lennon took 6 more lumber units and 1 beast tendon from his storage crate and added them to the crafting list. Close, fit wooden sheaths times 2. Crafting requirements. Lumber times 6, beast tendon times 1. Estimated crafting time, 30 seconds. 30 seconds later, 2 wooden sheets landed in his hands. Their inner surfaces conformed tightly to the blades. Plain on the outside, they featured fastening straps along the edges. Lennon fastened 1 sheath beneath each side of his tunic, angled against his left and right ribs. Hilts disappeared under the hem of his shirt. They would not show easily while reaching, bending, or turning. Still, the blades would not fly into his hands on their own. To draw, he had to reach beneath his clothes, find the hilt, and grip before pulling free. Lennon tested the motion. Under normal conditions it was fast enough, yet the draw created a noticeable movement. He focused his mind and activated his grade B body augmentation. Strength and speed flooded his limbs. Lennon's right hand slipped under his tunic. His fingertips barely brushed the hilt when the black short blade cleared its sheath and settled in a reverse grip within his palm. His left hand moved likewise. The second blacktooth dagger cleared its sheath nearly simultaneously. Find hilt, grip, draw. All 3 steps still occurred, but amplified 20-fold. The whole movement looked like nothing more than streaks of black light. That would suffice. Lennon deactivated body augmentation and slid both daggers back into their sheaths. Once his shirt fell back into place, only natural fabric creases were visible from the front. No casual observer would spot the 2 30-centimeter blades hidden at his waist without a thorough physical search. Others might offer a hand when meeting strangers. Lennon could choose to offer a hand or a blade depending on the situation. Estimated time until arrival, 1 minute and 47 seconds. The 1-minute cooldown would finish before they pulled into the station. Fully armed, Lennon stepped to the window. The dark glass reflected his true face. Sharp-browed, black-haired, with crisp, defined facial features. Only the long, dead fire snake had seen this face. Dead men would not send sketches of him to the Black Serpent Guild. Even so, Lennon had no intention of showing his real appearance to every unknown player he met. The fool's mask shifted in response to his will. His brow ridge sank subtly. His formerly sharp eyes softened, and his facial contours narrowed. A few loose strands of hair fell onto his forehead. Seconds later, the reflection showed the face of an 18-year-old young man. Fair-skinned. His mouth rested in a natural slight downturn. His gaze carried a hint of awkwardness, like a college student newly out of school and used to interacting with strangers. Lennon kept his original physique unchanged. He remained 178 centimeters tall. No changes to clothing or shoes were needed. He tested his voice against the window glass. Hello. His tone grew lighter, his pace slower, sounding unconfident. He adjusted his vocal tone once more. Excuse me. Where exactly is this place? Young, reserved, seemingly non-threatening. Strangers might even take pity and give him directions if he asked. The contrast would prove devastating if he struck. Lennon studied the new reflection. Good. The train began to decelerate. Gray mist parted outside the windows. Rows of sloped rooftops came into view. A gloomy small town lay spread out before them. Stone, paved streets wound between buildings. Pointed Western-style houses lined the roads, their walls stained black by years of rain. Further in the distance, a church loomed over the low-rise buildings. Only half of its cross remained intact atop the roof. Beside the church stretched a vast graveyard. Rows of stone tombstones stood behind rust-eaten iron fencing. Not a single lamp burned anywhere in town. Wind swept through the streets, rattling wooden shop signs hanging above doorways. Squeak, squeak. The train passed through a collapsed courtyard gate and rolled into the yard of an ordinary Western-style house. The wheels ground to a full halt. The rails behind faded quickly, dissolving into damp soil. Train has arrived at station 4444. Station name, Homecoming Station. Doors unlocked. Lennon slung his high, grade expanded backpack over his shoulders and checked the position of his hilts. Body augmentation's cooldown period had completed. The double doors slid open outward. Lennon stepped down into the courtyard. A blue mini-map unfolded in his field of vision. Navigation info, Station 4444, Homecoming Station. Resource coordinates, Legendary Resource, Crate ×1. Resource coordinates, Rare, Grade Resource, Crate ×2. Expected arrivals, 0. Arrived, 3. 3 people. One of them was himself. Lennon walked to the broken section of the courtyard wall and glanced out toward the street. Several hundred meters away at a crossroads, 2 red dots moved across the pavement one behind the other. They stayed close, confirming they worked as a team. The front scout surveyed the road ahead, while the second kept several meters of distance behind. Both halted simultaneously whenever they reached a fork in the road. Moving as a group made them far harder to handle than solo operators. Lennon pulled his gaze back and reviewed the 3 navigation routes. The legendary resource crate sat on the far side of town, nearly 3 kilometers away. The 2 other conductors were also positioned far from that crate. The 2 rare, grade resource crates were located within this neighborhood. The first lay 460 meters from Lennon. The second sat much closer to the pair, only a few hundred meters away from them. The legendary crate is placed farthest out, designed to let people grab the 2 lesser crates first before fighting over the main prize. Lennon decided not to rush straight for the legendary crate. The distance was too great and would consume too much time. If he raced there now, the other 2 would have more than enough time to claim both rare, grade crates. He would take what he could reach first, then move onward. A blue route extended from the rear of the courtyard, bypassing the crossroads and cutting through 2 narrow alleyways. Lennon climbed over a low stone wall and advanced quickly along the backs of the buildings. In under 3 minutes, he stopped outside a 2-story Western-style house. Rusted locks hung on its wooden front door. Navigation ignored the main entrance and pointed toward a broken side window. Lennon stepped onto the window ledge and climbed inside. Broken wooden chairs littered the living room. A purple, glowing resource crate was tucked beneath the staircase, concealed behind a thin wooden plank. Anyone entering through the front door would overlook it at first glance. Lennon's hand found a dagger hilt. He drew one black-toothed dagger. The blade sliced cleanly through the ropes securing the plank. The crate lid popped open. Opened rare, grade resource crate. Obtained, lumber ×62. Obtained, iron ingot ×48. Obtained, copper ingot ×27. Obtained, mechanical parts ×6. Obtained, rare, grade storage crate ×1. Lennon picked up the final item. Rare, grade storage crate. Storage capacity, 1000 gene. Common, grade storage crates could only hold a little over 200 gene of compressed supplies. This 1 meter, tall rare, grade crate multiplied storage capacity 5-fold. My storage capacity just got a major upgrade. Lennon slid the empty storage crate sideways into his expanded backpack and filled the remaining space with his newly acquired raw materials. With his loot secured, he climbed back out the broken window and headed for the second coordinate. This second crate lay dangerously close to the 2 other conductors. A direct path on the map led straight through the crossroads, risking a head-on confrontation. Lennon avoided the main roads. He circled behind rows of houses through backyards and skirted the outer perimeter of the graveyard. Through gaps between buildings, he could hear footsteps echoing off flagstones. One set light, one heavy. The distance kept shrinking. Lennon quickened his pace and climbed into a house with a collapsed roof. The second rare, grade resource crate rested inside an underground storage cellar. Its entrance was covered by a rotting wooden door. Lennon braced both hands under the door and lifted it gently aside, descending the stone steps into the basement. He shoved the purple crate lid open. Opened rare, grade resource crate. Obtained, lumber ×71. Obtained, iron ingot ×43. Obtained, copper ingot ×32. Obtained, mechanical parts ×7. Obtained, high-grade carriage blueprint ×1. Lennon reached out to pick up the blueprint. At that exact moment, a clear male voice rang out from the cellar entrance directly behind him. It was close. "Hey there, what are you doing down here?"